Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor Live. I am here in my backyard with my good friend and cohort and fellow colleague and associate in ufology, Nate. And through the last several months, we've kind of been doing a lot of talking behind the scenes. We talk on the phone a lot, and the more he talks, the more amazed I am at some of the insights and ideas. And so I decided, we're going to have Nate on, and I think he's got some things to say that a lot of you guys will really enjoy. And the other cool thing is, he's my neighbor, and I had no idea I had people like this in my own neighborhood. So this is a good thing. So Nate, how you doing?
How's it going?
Good.
I'm good. Yeah, it's good to be here finally. I think it's been a long time coming. Definitely been putting comments into your show. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. And I'm enjoying those comments. So we're going to talk about three general areas, but we will get into the specifics. We are starting a few minutes early. I apologize. It's all good. It all works out. StreamYard automatically makes the video so that you can watch the video if you miss the first half hour or whatever. It's all good. It works out. We're going to talk about UFOs and religion. We're going to talk about UFOs and philosophy. And we're going to talk about UFOs and evidences. Now, one of the things that convinced me to pay attention to Nate is he sees orbs around here periodically, and I don't. So there is something here that I can learn from Nate. And so, yeah, there's a lot of stuff I've learned from you. So anyway, what we're going to do is just kind of, we're out in my backyard. We're going to have a nice little nonchalant chat. I've never done things formally, so
We're gonna do an informal formal.
I like that.
Yeah,
Informal formal.
Informal formal.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we start out with now? Here's one of the cool things that I really like, and it kind of I think the point is because it brings a balance, and I see that with Nate a lot. Tell us about your wife when you brought up your wife and her. Uh, yeah, tell us about your wife.
So
what does she do?
So she's a polysomnographic technologist.
What?
She's a polysomnographic technologist.
What is that?
She's a sleep aid or a sleep doctor, people will call him, but she monitors people's brainwaves while they sleep.
Oh, nice. So why is that significant for you?
Well, it's significant because if you go back through her background, she's very staunch into healthcare and very solid in her ways, very scientific minded, will not let the woo woo pass if it's actually woo woo. And so anytime I've told her something that's woo woo that she may not have seen, she won't believe it until she sees it. And that's just the way she is.
So what is she saying?
With me, she has seen blue orbs. She's seen orange orbs. She's seen one of the observables, which is tremendous speed. Tremendous speed. Matter of fact, Professor had it on his phone. I sent it to him, and we played it before.
No, I played it.
And I think more thought needs to go into that video. A lot more thought. How fast that actually is. When you watch the tree that's in the background and you watch how it stops and how it takes off, that is tremendous speed.
Yeah, one of the guys actually thought you had gotten into your car and you were the one driving up to it to make it look like it was moving, but that's backwards with physics.
We actually stopped the car in the middle of the road on a road that was not that, there's no traffic. So we just stopped. It was late at night, probably 10:30. We were on our way to eat some wings. And I looked up in the sky, and we both kind of caught eyes with it. And my wife said, "What is that?" And I said, "What the hell is that?" And it came floating in kind of soft and clean and Then all of a sudden she just, out of instinct, because before we've seen these, and she pulled it out and did stills. And I said, lady, pull out the video. So she pulls out the video and she starts to record. And she got, probably, to me, the most amazing video I've ever seen as far as a light in the sky. And you want to prove that to me, you watch how fast that thing goes. And I'm telling you, if you guys haven't seen that video, you need to go back and watch it, because that's the real deal. The real deal.
Yeah, that was fun when you shared that with me.
That was
And
the real
and
deal.
it was just a couple of miles up from where I live, which really sucks in a way, because I would have loved to have seen that, but perhaps maybe my time's coming, so we'll see. So on this subject of UFOs and religion, we've kind of talked a little bit about it, and you're from a little bit different religious background than I am, but you do have a religious background. So
yeah.
how do UFOs fit in with that, or do they? I don't know.
Well, religion itself, that word, I kind of find that as a dirty word, because to me, religion is not really the thing that keeps you close to your God, I guess. I think that what religion means to certain people, it doesn't mean the same thing to me. So, me personally, I've dropped the word religion almost completely, because it's almost irrelevant at this point. I mean, I think that a lot of people are coming around to that, because we've been lied to in a lot of ways, and it's been covered up. A lot of things have been covered up, and
Yeah,
we're getting to the root of this thing. I think people are starting to wake up and see that those books and stuff, they either didn't mean what they say that they meant, or they said what they meant and they were there for just that purpose, and now we're moving on. It's time to move on. 2,000 years of dogma's over. That's the way I feel about it.
interesting. But you were telling me here a while ago that
I had religious experiences, what I thought was religious experiences.
yeah, you've also read a lot of other
I've
religious
read a
books,
lot of religious books,
like the Nag Hammadi, the Gnostics, the Hermetic materials,
Eastern philosophies.
I've
I've learned a lot about theosophists. I've learned a lot about Buddhism. I've learned a lot about martial arts. I've learned a lot of things on my way down this path, and I can tell you, it's been a fun ride, but it's also got to come to some kind of conclusion, because eventually we all have to have this serious talk where it's no longer lights in the sky. It's no longer, to me, it has to come to a conclusion, and that's the way I feel about it.
What conclusions?
I have,
Just in a nutshell.
in a nutshell, well, I think
He's been telling me the conclusions now for the last 3 or 4 months. So it goes way deep.
I think that people have they think they have the conclusion. I think people think that they may have the conclusion, and to me, after 25 years of doing this, religion aside, 25 years of ufology, you come to some things that are out of process of elimination, and those things follow a silver line down a truth path. And if you continue to follow that line, it may be more astonishing than you believe, and that's why it's scary. So when you hear all these guys, Elizondo, you hear, which, him aside, there are a lot of people that have said recently that has a scary element to it. So you have to remember that, because this is a part of the reason they're keeping it from you, is because there's a scary element. So scary, you're not supposed to know it.
But does it have to be scary?
I don't think it does.
Do you think it's because we don't know what's coming up, and so since we fear the unknown, then that kind of makes us leery of going down that path?
I think it does, yeah. And I think that how scary this might actually be for some people, it will bring down the gates of their defenses, and it will scare them. But maybe that's what they need in order to. It's time to move on. It's time to get into a new conversation. The conversation of lights in the sky, the conversation of I saw a being, did you really, blah, 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 back and forth. I don't think that is any longer a discussion. You have too many people now that are high up in the military, high up with credentials, that have told you this is real. Elizondo says you've had the big D disclosure. So it's time to move on. So what do you move on to? Have you ever asked yourself that? What comes after big D disclosure? What comes after that is conclusions. You have to have this conversation with your family. You have to say this is real, and you have to come to some kind of a conclusion, because you have the responsibility to come to a higher, better conversation now. I mean, look, you got Carl Nell, you've got Admiral Gallaudet, you've got
Colonel Alexander,
people that stare at you right in the eye with a 1,000-yard stare and tell you this is real.
Jim Semivan.
It's done, guys. It's real. So moving on, what are your conclusions? Have you really sat down and thought about that? What your conclusions are? Because after 25 years of doing this, 25 years, guys, it's either a waste or it has come to there's some fruition.
So are you suggesting then, actually, sounds to me like what you're saying is we need to quit arguing about whether it's real or not, and realize that the disclosure,
it's already happened.
The government. I mean, I've done videos on that, Nate. You know that. Yeah,
10 years
the
ago,
government and the military, all of these reports that are coming out now that used to be so above top secret, they say,
right.
But now that all that's coming out, so now we have to handle it. Now we have to start asking why. Right?
I think there are things that after they've given you big D disclosure, people will say, well, it's never going to happen. People will say, well, I'm never going to see a being. I'm never going to get the real evidence. I'm never going to get this, that. And that's okay. You can think that way, and you can shut off the video, and you can walk away, and you can say, this is woo-woo, and it's never going to be my thing. So why are you here then? So you have to ask yourself, this obviously is talking to some part of you, and what part of you is that talking to? You know that something about this is real. That's why you're here. So
interesting. Yeah, I mean, I must know, part of me must know something's real. That's why I keep making all these videos.
Right.
I would suggest.
And sure, we can be led down a path, but also there are people with kind hearts that have just said what they've seen. Very simple stuff. I was in the military. I saw this. It scared me. What do you do with that? What do you do with that?
Yeah.
And they're saying it because they're scared. They're literally scared. They literally see that thing and it scares them. And we're not talking about a stupid Tic Tac. We're not talking about just that. We're not talking about a triangle in the sky that I saw 14 miles away. We're talking about things that in the past of ufology, people have said they've come nose to nose with these things. They've touched them. They have tangible evidence. Okay, well, we don't have tangible evidence, right? But the tangible evidence, if it came tomorrow, the questions that you would have are not something that they're ready to deal with. And so to me, that conversation needs to be had eventually. But right now, you can see the masses, 90% of the population, 80% we were just talking, they're really in the dark still about all this. And they haven't seen these people stare you in the eye and tell you that this is real. And it's been ongoing for a long time.
Yeah, there are still a lot of people, an awful lot of people who really don't even know that Congress is holding UFO hearings. They are completely unaware that there has even been files that have been declassified.
Why would people take the time to do that? You have to ask. They have way better shit to do. So why are they doing this? Is it because the people want it? Is it because let's just have a circus because the people want the circus? I don't think that they're doing that. I think that there are people up there who genuinely think this is actually happening. And I have to agree that something is happening. I have to agree because there are too many evidences of just your average kind-hearted person who tells you what they saw in the military and with their background, that they have nothing to gain, nothing at all to gain. and everything to lose. They have family that's looking at them like they're crazy. They're getting shit on because of their PTSD. I mean, come on, guys. Like, you've got to get beyond yourself.
Artie Six Killer Clark, several of her books, where she interviews so many people down there in down south, Mesoamerica, Mexico City, Guatemala, and all that. Those people, now some of their experiences were because she talks to a lot of the people down there who were in Vietnam, and they had their experiences in Vietnam. But so many of them are just farmers that they farm, 3 acres of land their entire life, or some of them is a storekeeper. One of them's a cook in a restaurant. Another one is a traveling salesman between his town and the town a mile away, etc. We're just talking John Q. Public.
Right.
And these orbs and beings are visiting them, and they're either healing them or they're trying to give them more information. They try to warn them about something that's coming on that they need to avoid. It's just so interesting to see how it's not just the upper echelon. It's not the upper crust of society that these UFOs are visiting.
Okay.
And it's interesting that some of them, it changes their religious view. Others of them, it reinforces their religious view. How has it affected you and your religious
two things
view?
Two things I want to say there. I believe that, I don't want to use that word, I believe.
He doesn't like the word believe any more than I do.
I think there's other creatures, okay?
I believe him too.
I think there's other creatures, okay? I think there's other creatures. You can call them ET, you can call them other creatures. We have dogs, we have cats, we have whales, we have all those things, and they're different creatures too. So you're able to live with them. And so these other creatures, let's say, they just don't want to be seen. But let's say there's something even bigger than those things that we are not aware of yet. But we're aware of what we see, and what we see could be just those things, just other creatures. And they're here, and they're, maybe among us. Maybe they're not so relatively available to where you can just talk to them. Maybe they have their whole family here. Maybe they're going to school here. You don't know what those are doing here. And sure, that is a possibility. So to me, what has it done to me to take that on as a paradigm? It's just like dogs and cats. Like, to me, I don't mind. I'll meet them, let's meet them. Let's talk to them. Let's invite them in. I mean, it's time for humanity to grow up anyway. I mean, let's get out of our infancy and start accepting that we're just not the top of the food chain. It's time to just say, hey, come on in, guys.
That's a tough pill to swallow for some.
Yeah, it is. And I'm telling you.
Just saying.
It's come down to that, though, and I think that they have something to tell us, and I think that they have something to tell us, and I think the creatures themselves are just like us, not saying that they have to be bipedal or anything, but that they have intelligence, and they have things that maybe they want to say to us. Maybe they want to communicate to us. Maybe they don't. Maybe they have an agenda, right? Well, that's okay with me, too.
Well, they do, but Whitley Strieber, Strieber in his book, The Fourth Mind, I bought it from him at Contact, and I've read it. And he says that there's kind of an attempted effort on the ET's part to have a symbiotic relationship. However, they don't just come straight out yet because there is an order to it, whatever that means. I don't get it, but I mean, he's been being visited now for what, 40, 44, 45, 50 years. And he's saying that they need us and we need them. That's kind of an interesting approach.
I mean, the domesticated dog needs us to feed and water it. To me, it's come to an area of existence where it's okay to invite them in as neighbors. And those are creatures that, to me...
Now, there's some people who will disagree with that. There's some people that say, wait, these are demons. They're bad. And so don't invite them. You're going to be deceived, etc. And then there's others who take the opposite extreme. They say, well, no, they're not demons, they're angels. We've seen both sides, but we still don't know what they are. or who they are.
The shaman of your tribe heals you, and he talks to them. So to me, it's kind of like
That's interesting.
it's kind of like they have some extra knowledge to give, and maybe they're not necessarily ready to come out. Kind of like the squirrel, it's a little timid. Kind of like the bird, it doesn't want to be touched. It's as simple as that to me. I don't think it needs to go much further than that. And I think the way that Strieber says it is the same way. Like, I think he's so used to it, he's beyond it. It's like when Jake Barber said, I'm kind of over talking about UFOs, and it's because he's seen them, or he hasn't. But if he says he has, I have to take it by his word. And he says, I have. Okay, so he has. And then he says, I'm over talking about it. And it's kind of like a therapeutic thing for me to say it now. I've seen these things. And so what?
So now there's something to learn from
what's beyond that disclosure. He's saying the same thing. He's saying, and all of them are saying the same thing. It's time to move on with the discussion. If it's there, it's there. And okay, now what?
All right, but since I haven't had my own experience,
Okay.
I mean, I've never been visited or
Okay.
abducted, thank goodness. In fact, I've never talked to them. I've never had them communicate with me telepathically, etc. How do I get to that?
I think what needs to happen first is you need to have a serious conversation with the
head UFO.
Well, with the idea that there's a process of elimination as to certain people saying certain things. Why would certain people take the time of day to tell you anything? My dad, he's an Air Force guy.
Oh, that's a good point.
And he has just recently told me, why would they take time to tell you anything if there was absolutely nothing? Air Force guy, super staunch about this. He doesn't like talking about it with me. And the one thing he will say is, your government has given you some sense of disclosure already. He even told me, congratulations, you're 80% vindicated. But now what?
Really?
Yeah, but now what? So he's ready to accept that they've said there's UFOs. They don't know what they are. They're up in the sky. We've all seen them. So now what?
Dolan says they're also under the waters.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're moving past vessels that are down there at 200 miles per hour. Insane speeds.
Yeah. 200, that is, and they're doing it from being in the air first and then diving under the water
80,000
and keep
feet.
going.
80,000 feet.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that the videos that you watch are just the end-all, be-all. I think that you're going to see your own orbs. I do. I really believe that if people want to see them, they will see them. There's many times when I've just walked outside casually and seen them. And that's what I don't understand. I have a hard time, when you've seen them, you have a hard time with people who haven't, because it's almost normal at this point to see them.
I've got people in the comments to some of my videos, and thank you for this, by the way, but they keep advising me, well, just keep looking.
Yeah.
I see them every day, etc.
Yeah.
And there's some of us that don't. And so in a way, I understand how some people say, yeah, you're spreading woo-woo and all that, because it's not real, because I haven't seen it. But on the other hand, I just put a video up earlier today about the historical evidence being really, really powerful also, because I put up 3 videos today. Right. One on a picture and 2 of them of videos of aliens. And there's very few of us who believe they're real.
Well, of course.
So if that's not valid evidence, where do we go other than having our own experience? I think the historical record.
I think guys like you, when they're putting that stuff up, they're having a good time with their audience, and they're saying, "Look,
sure,
these may be real. They may not be real. We're
exploring.
Yeah, we're exploring. We're having a good time, and that's okay. It's okay to have a good time. I mean, they're not, the alien or the ET isn't standing here and has a gun to your head and says, "Believe me or not." It doesn't. It's not doing that. What it's trying to do, I think, is probably give you a little bit of its doctrine and let you see that it's okay. Like, I think that it has to ease itself in there. And sure, we're thinking 80 years, and for us, 80 years seems like a long time.
That's a lot of easing, man.
That's a lot of easing, exactly.
A lot of us are ready for more.
But we also see time as how much time we have. 80 years.
Oh, that's a good point.
80 years is a lifetime to us. But does that mean that that's their lifetime?
No, there's some people who speculated on that. Huh?
What if creatures live thousands of years and we don't? We just
yeah.
So 80 years may be a drop in the bucket. So I'm looking at things like I'm the process of elimination guy. When people give me the information, I can pull up in my head the things that connect to it. And out of all the things that I have connected with, one of the main things that I connected with is what they don't say, because Jeremy Corbell and Knapp, the things they don't say, or even Patrick from Vetted when he has something that he wants to say that he can't say, and he doesn't ever want to be that guy, but he said, there's a time when I had to be that guy. It's the same thing with all these guys. There are certain things that just can't be said, and you got Colt Hart that has the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people, and it's not that they're sworn to secrecy, it's that the people that they're protecting. Because
the people are what?
They're protecting their source.
Yeah.
And if that source was to be outed, there's no telling. That's a person's livelihood, their family.
Right. Well, Colt Hart has said as much too. Yeah. Yeah, I get that to a point, but yeah. See, that's kind of where I'm sort of I'm in a weird position, dude. I'm still working. I'm working toward retirement. I'm closing in on it. My schedule is so goofy. I can't do stuff like this until Sunday evenings, and most of the YouTubers are doing their stuff during the day. Right. So when I try to get guests on, they say, yeah, I can do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I go, no, I'm at work for 4 more hours. Right. That kind of makes it difficult in that regard, but
people have that to do,
right.
They have to get retirement. They have to do all these other things. And this is maybe a passion for us, and there's all this population out there that's not even thinking about this stuff.
Oh, there's only a couple of million of us in the entire UFO community. There are hundreds of millions of people out there who don't even realize Congress is holding hearings and that the military is that they're opening up documents that used to be classified. There's hundreds of millions who don't even realize that's happening yet. Yeah. And yet the ETs appear, based on what I'm reading, to be visiting people all over the world.
Right. Well, it's like James Fox. He's had tons of people come up to him in those little tribal areas, and they talk to him about what they saw.
Yeah.
And each one of them says they saw the exact same thing. And this is where my kind of gift comes in, where I say the things that some people may have seen on one video and be like, that's it. But I've seen tons of videos, and I've seen where he actually talks about how the ET was playing with the children along the side of the fence, and how one was skipping and the other one was skipping with it. And it was just
having fun,
an innocent thing. And tell me,
until an adult sees it, and then they freak out.
So people will say, there's these people that have been outed, like Charles Hall, when he talks about how there was a lady that was washing dishes and her daughter was out front, and one of the ET's daughters wanted to play with her daughter, and so the ET stopped time for that lady in order for her daughter to go play with the other lady's daughter.
Whoa, where do you get that story?
That was Charles Hall.
In a book? Or
no, these people know who Charles Hall is. Charles Hall is the ET with the whites that are out on Indian Range, out Area 51. So he said, there are people that say he's been debunked, he's been this, that. But, even though, I'm going to pull that name up anyway, because to me, it's a story that needs to be said, because even if that's not real, think of how innocent that was. Why would you say something like that? What is it that's twisting your mind to allow you to see ET by your daughter and then think that that's a cool thing? Why would he say that, knowing this could be dangerous for this child? And instead, he says this is an innocent playing thing. These children are just playing. It's like he added that to the whole thing for the reason of I saw that instead of the reason of let's accept these things. I think that he's showing you something that they have hospitality. It's the name of his book, by the way. It's Hospitality. I don't remember the rest of it, but basically
I'll have to get that.
basically he's just trying to say that this is one ET race. There could be thousands. We don't know how many ETs there are. And so to me, creatures are creatures. I mean, if you walk down the road all day long, you see squirrels, you see birds. What is the difference? So you see a creature. To me, it's that simple to me. But I think
but aren't they supposed to be so much more intelligent than we are, and so much more able to, almost as it were, perform miracles, etc., that we can't do? And so we kind of like to, we like our heroes, right? So are we building them up falsely?
I think so.
You think?
I think so, yeah. I think that they have hardware and software we don't have. That's obvious.
Yeah.
I think that they have possibly symbiotic connections with their technology, just like we're becoming that way. I think that our future.
Interesting.
You
think they're influencing the AI movement?
I think that AI has been around longer than people know. That's what I think.
Really?
Yeah. I think that a lot of this stuff has been here before the normal American public or before the normal population knew about it. And I say that because of a story that I heard. The Cray computer, Cray 5 supercomputer. Now that we have computers working on computers, could you imagine an AI working on an AI computer?
I just read an article this week on that. They said they've got AI computers who can go 24/7, and they're working on the AI programs, and the jump between Chat 3.0 and Chat 4.0 as a general view, say it was 10 times greater. They're saying the jump between Chat 4.0 and Chat 5.0 is going to be like a quadrillion.
Quantum leap.
They say it's a whole new paradigm.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying Chat 5.0 is coming out next month or sometime this year, maybe December, whatever.
So computers have been working on computers, guys. Like, you need to really drop that into the pit of your stomach and realize.
Are we becoming obsolete?
I think we need to answer the question though here. So I think we need to drop the fact that there are these things that are going on behind the scenes where a scientist or an engineer will let the engineers work on another, and you get heightened technology that's exponentially growing, and it's been exponentially growing, and then what you get is your new iPhone.
Yeah,
it keeps you happy.
Yeah.
But in the background, what do they have? So by process of elimination, like I've said this before, I'll just go ahead and say it. Sounds woo. Here we go with the woo.
Hang on. Woo is on the way.
Woo's on the way. Okay.
So, is that woo or is that woo-hoo?
It might be good for us. We'll see. So here it is. So bases on the moon. Don't you think that by process of elimination, we have to have bases on the moon? Because if Einstein was here today, he would tell the president, you better get it up there before they do. Am I wrong?
Okay, so you're saying Einstein would tell the president, you better get a moon base before they do. Who's they?
Our adversaries.
Interesting.
So by process of elimination.
So they must have it because we scrapped even NASA's being dismantled right now, for crying out loud.
Probably because we have way better.
So, yeah, interesting. I never quite put that together like that.
Use your process of elimination, guys. Like, if we're messing around with AI, what are they messing around with? Come on. Like, they just went and dropped 60-ton bombs over in an area. I mean, come on. And it was precision work. I mean, and that stuff was like just small time probably for them. I mean, they think that's
400 million for us.
Let me just put this on you here real quick.
All right, put it
my
on.
My cousin.
Hold on, can I hang on? Okay, I'm hanging on.
My cousin, I will not mention her name. She works at Area 52.
Really?
And there are other people that work at Area
She's
52.
on his video. Is she one of his producers?
No, not that.
Oh, you're not talking
that
Chris
Area 52,
Ramsey,
right?
Oh,
and I think
I
people.
was going to say, wow, you do have connections.
I think people get the wrong idea about Area 51. There's Area 52, 53, 54, 55. There's areas out there, and they own that entire area out there. And there's different sectors to it. And so people all over the world that are listening to this, get this in your head. When you hear Area 51, that's a cute little part of that. But there's a bunch more that they own, different areas. So they could hide a lot of stuff out there. And we're
So
talking
she's
about
at
a lot of
Area
stuff.
52.
She's at Area 52. And yes, I have questioned her about this stuff. And she has to.
Has she ever told you anything juicy?
She has to approach it in a certain way where she says, I will tell you this. So on and so on and so on. It keeps her mind straight of what she can and can't say.
Right.
So she'll give you the basics though. I mean, hey, we have these drones, they have 4-banger engines in them, whoopee shit. She'll give you that. But you know
we have iPhones. We have iPhones.
We have iPhones, yeah. You know damn well that we have more than that.
In the meantime, they have anti-gravity craft.
Right. And it's like, come on. Like, okay, so it's funny. The other day we were talking about EMPs.
Yeah.
She told me about that years and years and years ago. How you just fly 5 planes over China and turn them off like a light switch.
Yeah.
So, laser technology. Laser technology is actually where we're at right now as far as what we're supposed to know. But how far are we really? We've heard a lot of stories about just invisible beams, not beings, beams that have influenced people's brains, scrambled their eggs.
That's why we wear tinfoil hats. I'm just saying.
So they've gone further. I mean, think about that. Microwave weapons, I don't know. Scalar, I don't know anything about scalar. I think that's kind of a weird way of looking at it. But right now I can tell you guys that are in this chat, that are on this with Professor, you need to get in this chat. Tell your people to get on here, your friends, everybody. Let's have this conversation. Let's have it every week. Let's have this real conversation, not the stuff that, he can do his own thing. But I think we need to have these kind of discussions where we come together and have a group discussion and say real shit. Like, let's talk about what's real, by process of elimination. It's got to be real, guys. Like, there are certain things. And we have to have this coming to Jesus moment. I don't know.
Coming to the UFO
Coming to the UFO moment.
However, the UFOs even say Jesus is one of them. So, I mean, it could be a coming to Jesus moment.
Maybe.
I mean, look, there are really serious stories about these guys healing people just like Jesus did. Yeah. There are really serious stories about people levitating just like Jesus did. There are really serious stories about people walking on water, just like Jesus did. I mean, when you go through and see the parallels, you kind of go, well, now wait a minute, hold on.
It reminds me of the Chris Bledsoe story where he's got orbs coming in and healing a guy who was completely deaf. That to me was pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, that was.
What about a self-igniting tree? That was kind of interesting. I watched that burn in his yard.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that are happening out there where he's at that are just phenomenal. Now, I'm not saying, hey, I 100% believe the guy because I don't know the guy. And he might be a great guy. He might even have all this shit going on. And I would be like, hey, that's amazing. I saw it with you, whatever. But you know what? At the end of the day, that person that just got healed, that had the hearing problem, and it was an orb that helped them, tell me that didn't change their life for the rest of their life from then forward. Or what about the person with stage 4 cancer that it cured? I mean, sure, those are things to me that doctors in the future will be able to do, cure cancer. They'll be able to, do these things. And maybe even
if they ever get over their greed first, because everyone knows they treat symptoms, not the disease.
That to me is the thing too. I think we need to also come to an agreement that humanity is not that great. I mean, we're killing
what?
Yeah.
You're asking us to be humble now?
He thinks I'm cynical about this, but here's the thing. I mean,
I'm telling you.
Think of how many cows we kill a day. Think of how many trees we burn down. Think of how many things we cut down all day. And if ET knows us better than we know ourselves, what are we telling ET?
Yeah.
Are we telling him come and visit? Is that really what we're telling him? Come on, guys. Like, we have to have these serious conversations.
Interesting. All right. So, in line with this serious
I'll have a
conversation,
drink here.
yeah, absolutely. You take a drink while I ask you this question. You told me something here. It's been a month or two ago, but I mean, it hasn't left my mind yet because it's so fantastically interesting that we are a smaller part of a greater being.
Okay.
And you meant that
Literally.
you're not talking religiously. You're talking literal.
Well, that might be what religion was talking about.
That's interesting. Yeah, religion, that might, maybe originally it was literal and then it went to the spiritual metaphorical.
Yeah. So
explain that to us.
all right.
And you know, if for instance this cosmos is really just a part of a greater being, I would hope we're in the brain. Wouldn't that be cool?
I'll go out on a limb and say I'm hoping that what happened at Rendlesham Forest, by it saying, "We are the eyes of your eyes."
That's right.
That what it may have been saying is that we're in the eye.
Huh.
Um,
So we need to open the eyelid.
we need to
Well, I mean, who was it? Brian Greene years ago wrote The Green Dragon in one of his first books, the atomic physicist and the string theorist. He called it The Green Dragon, and he was one of the first physicists to put a kind of a religious mystical bent on this whole universe thing and saying, yeah, not only are we the star stuff, but I mean, we're the conscious part. I mean, these are the same atoms, molecules, and stuff that's out there in the cosmos. And we are literally the eyes, the ears, the mouth, the nose of the universe.
Right. So another thing with that.
So you think we're the eyes, the eye of the eye?
Well, I don't think that we're that. I just think that my job is to make the connection.
What would they have meant then?
Well,
do you think? I know we're speculating.
Yeah, we are. Let's take a step back.
Let's
take a quick step back and say what I meant by saying that is that we're making these connections on purpose because we want to put together the whole picture. Maybe that's a part of it. Maybe this is a part of it. And how do these connect? And then after you've connected a bunch of these dots, what's the picture like now? So Rendlesham Forest, it says, the eyes of our eyes. We're here to watch the continuation of humanity. And then it gives you codes. And those codes led to these different places that don't exist anymore, like New Brazil, which was a place that's underwater.
Where?
New Brazil. It's a place that's underwater now. So when they're here to observe humanity, okay? So that is one connection that I made. They're here to observe humanity. Okay, so not saying that that's all that they're doing, but if that is a part of their agenda, is to watch humanity, why? What is the reason that
because we finally became interesting, according to Richard Dolan.
We are interesting to them, but I think we're interesting.
A lot more interesting than we were 3,000 years ago.
We might be interesting for a negative reason, though.
Unfortunately, that is true. Yeah.
And so here I am again sounding cynical, but I'm thinking that the reason that they're here observing, to make another connection so that I don't seem like a fool by just saying this one thing is the connection. There's other connections. So the other connections are that there are other people like Norman Bergram, who said he sees these things in the rings of Saturn and he thinks they're nursing on the rings. Now, the lady who was interviewing him, you guys know her, and she was being thick-headed in this area of this topic. He was trying to say, these are babies, and they're nursing on the rings. They're eating it. And I'm going to sound, a little bit profane. They're shitting out pinched plasma. So they're beings that are alive, and what propels them is their shit. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but... And it sounds crazy.
What an image. No shit.
Yeah,
no shit.
No shit. And so then he went on to say other planets are getting rings and something is coming to a critical stage now.
Interesting.
Okay, so that's another type of being. And that's all he was saying, is that that's another type of being. What is the other type of being? Norman Bergram is saying there's a 2,000-foot creature, not a craft. She said a craft, but he said a being who's living in the rings of Saturn. And who else said that? You guys remember Sergeant Major? He said it too. There's been other people who have said it, and there's been scientists that have said it, that there may be these creatures that are living out there that are just living like a cocoon on a planet. They become what they are, and they nurse on the rings. That sounds to me like woo-woo, right? But at the same time, is it really that big of a jump to say we have a worm that turns into a flying thing?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So come on, our creatures here give us they give us a perspective. They're teaching us something.
Right. Okay, so that could be the
A
value
small,
of the ETs is
small
they're
within
here
the
to
greater,
they're here to teach us. If we'll learn.
or that too. I mean, you can see it that way. I mean, continuing on though, so that might be just another creature that's in the universe. Another creature lives on the surface of the space station. A bacteria. Even Elizondo said that there might be a bacteria on the space station, right? Okay, so it's another creature, another thing. And maybe the cosmos is full of those things, and maybe it doesn't even need to breathe. Maybe there's no such thing as breathing to certain creatures. We all know that you have an Arctic fox that can survive 152 degrees below zero. I'm not surviving 152 degrees below zero. I don't think
I'm
you
not
are,
even going to try.
but that's pretty cold. And what if you found
Really?
one
152
below zero that can survive? Yeah. So listen, man. I mean, come on. Like, is it really that big of a jump? Is it?
Interesting.
So we need to have these conversations where we come head to head with ourselves, because we have to get over ourselves. We have to get ego death as a species in order to start understanding what this planet might be teaching us, what the universe might be showing us, that we're just so stupid about. And really, it could be a simple answer.
To try to put a positive spin on it, though, I mean, it's hard to argue with that to a degree that we really are stupid about it. But like you were saying earlier, maybe we're just scared.
We're scared. And
because it's an unknown. I mean, can I really give up being Carrie Shirts? Then who would I be? What would I be?
Okay.
Know what I mean?
Let me say something about ego death. It doesn't mean it dies.
Well, then why are they calling it ego death?
Because it has to take a back seat to what you really are.
Oh.
Right now,
interesting.
You need a little bit of it to survive. You live in America, you have to have it to survive. Your speech is fascist at its very core because of its conformist nature. Therefore, you have to have that to survive. Beyond that, it's just a tool. It needs to take a back seat to what we really are. Now, at some point, I think, we're going to stop killing all these creatures. We're slaughtering creatures. Let's just say that.
Oh.
We're slaughtering creatures by
hundreds
millions
of species a day
is
going extinct.
Okay,
it's
guys,
terrible.
like, we're not inviting ET right now. We're not inviting them to come down. We're really having a problem as a species. We really are. But at the same time, there are certain creatures that have kind of dipped their toe down here and said, these guys might not be so effing bad. And maybe they're here. Maybe they're living among us. Maybe they're just changing the way they look to fit in. Okay?
We've heard theories that way.
Here's one of my theories about that, though. To caveat that a little bit. I think the ultraterrestrials that Hal Puthoff talks about, they're like non-corporeal beings that don't have bodies.
All right, so ultra-terrestrials are not the same as extraterrestrials.
Right. But to me, an ultra-terrestrial is not these things Hal Puthoff is talking about. To me, the ultra-terrestrial is what we live in. To me, the ultra-terrestrial is the being that we live in. The universe.
The big one.
The universe. Our universe, to me, is a creature. It's a living entity, a being. Yep.
You're not the only one to say that.
It's a being. And the reason I say that there's people that are going to say, oh my gosh, this guy just went down the toilet.
Yeah, right? You're full of woo. Dude, I can't take it anymore. We're going to cancel this program right now. No, I'm just kidding.
So why do I say that?
Yeah,
Because
why do you say that?
well,
Do you have any hardcore evidence?
well, let's play around with some stuff.
All right.
How about the shape of the crafts that you see?
Which one?
Tic Tac?
They just
Tic Tac. Let's
yeah.
start there. Tic Tac. When you eat a
Oh,
Tylenol,
it keeps the big creature's breath fresh. To Tic Tac, right?
so Tic Tac also has the shape of a pill, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you seen a triangular pill? I've seen them. How many times have you seen a disc-shaped pill? Most of them. Start to think maybe
So
that's
what are you getting to?
what I'm trying to tell you is that I think that those might be the remedy, but they're not the cure. So they're coming down here to look at us because we may have gotten a little bit out of hand. We may be too
You
populated.
mean like some of the sci-fi movies? We have become the virus.
Yes, yes. But I also think that our technology that we have here on our planet has shown us that we can use nanites or nanotechnology to be injected into the body to show us that the future of our body might be cancerous by seeing one particular cell of cancer and watch it right there from the very tiniest of cells. So if that's the case and we can do that, I'm pretty sure that ET can do it.
Interesting. I
And
never
probably
thought of
the
that angle before.
ultra-terrestrial.
Oh, interesting.
So this might be locally injected.
Yeah, but is that ethical? Of course, then do they care? I mean,
What's ethics when you're
they
surviving?
take us in abductions.
What's ethics? Well, you're talking about a different being. You're talking about ETs. So to me, ETs are the creatures. To me, the ultra-terrestrial is the creature that we all live in, even those creatures, even ET.
Oh.
Yeah, ET is just another creature like us. But UT, the ultra-terrestrial, is the creature that we all live in.
Okay.
Now, this is just my conclusion after 25 years of doing this. However, it can change. I want to let you guys know that it can change. And the reason why is because I can't see him. I'm not stupid enough to fall off that cliff. But I can tell you right now from 25 years of experience, it's led me to see a lot of the process of elimination that leads me to believe that we're another creature inside of a creature.
That is quite a remarkable thought, you know? And then how far
So-
does that go? Because we know there's creatures inside of us.
Exactly.
And there's creatures inside. I mean, those little bugs on our eyelashes that are having
Right.
sex with
Right.
each other
Okay.
at night. And that gives us our, hard,
Okay.
dry tears in the morning.
So the other day you were talking about the holographic universe.
The holographic universe.
And how
Right.
the small will depict the large because of the holographic nature of our universe.
Right.
Okay? But Donald Hoffman talks about how we're wearing a virtual reality glasses and we can't find the qualia.
The headset.
Qualia is the ability to
Taste
taste
the mint.
Okay?
That's his famous,
His famous quote. Now, if it's another creature, though, he can tell you how that mint tastes.
Oh.
So maybe the holographic nature is you, and you're that cell, and the thing is holographic to you. Maybe you're the smallest thing that's the holograph or the hologram. So I'm not saying that because that's where it stops, because in you, there's also something that has quality that can taste something that's in your gut. There's something beyond that that can taste something that's in its gut.
Interesting.
And beyond and further down.
Yeah.
And then up higher, of course, you continue up and you've got yourself, other planets with other creatures on them eventually. But also you have empty ones and stars. Okay, so you still got to look at it like, what is that like? That's like cells with rotations. Simple. We are the subatomic particles of the galaxies.
Of the galaxy.
And I'm not the only one that said this. Look at Chris Lato.
Well, I'm definitely one of the quarks. Quarks.
Look at Chris Lato. He even said that there's like a vibrational way of looking at this too. There's a lot of other people that have put their mark on this. So listen, this is where we're going to come to combat at the end of the day, because you can show me a light in the sky, and I've seen them, and I appreciate you showing me, but it doesn't come to these conclusions. And if this isn't the conclusion, that's okay. But we need to start talking about that, because that's what's going to scare mom and dad at the end of the day, not Oliver, the new ET. You know? So there's
Yeah.
a scary element to this. And that's going to bring down the egos, and that's going to really start to cause that problem.
Yeah, that's going to be. I wonder, I'm just speculating off the top of my head. I wonder if that might be part of the new knowledge that Chris Bledsoe says the lady told him about happening in less than 1 year right now, right, guys?
So we're trying to bring it
Easter
up to current.
2026. Although he has said in other videos now that, and he told me at Contact that it was a new knowledge. It wasn't the second coming of Jesus Christ as such from the Christian point of view, but it was a new knowledge. But he's also said now that the calculation of the astronomical alignment stuff doesn't happen until fall. There's still some people who say the astronomical alignment doesn't even happen in 2026. I honestly don't know. I looked it up, and I think I told Chris, or was it Chris Jr. when I was talking to him. Anyway, I said, well, yeah, the fall is when it's showing up. And so I'm willing to say, all right, let's just call it 2026. I don't have to be so exact to worry about it. Some people say if it's prophesied and it's off by 1 second, false prophet, stone him to death. I don't look at it quite that stringent. But if 2026 comes and goes, and then 2027 comes and goes, I'm going to be a little bit riled. Right. If no new knowledge shows up.
Okay, so
but who gets to determine that, right? Because we're getting new knowledge daily all over the world in every subject. So you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Is that too vague to be useful? It has become one of my kind of thinking points about
to bring what I consider my gift to bear on this is what's more interesting is not necessarily the way Chris Bledsoe said this. But he said that there was some other kind of intelligence officer somewhere up high in one of these agencies that says that there was supposed to be a ruby that was needed to be found. And he kept on looking his whole life for this ruby. And then Chris Bledsoe talked to him one time and said, it's not a ruby, it's Regulus. And it blew this guy's mind. So Regulus, so this guy to me is more the focus than Chris. To me, the guy, what did he know? Why does he know that? Where did he get that from? Where's this ruby we're talking about?
Did he ever say?
Nobody ever said.
Do you know who it is?
I don't. But, you can go back and look at Chris's videos and they'll tell you who it is. That's my gift, is to just make the connection and then lead you down that path. That's what I can do for you. I mean, I've been down all the paths, guys, all of them. Like, I've done this, like I said, 25 years. Takes me all the way back to Roswell.
Lift your hat. They can't see your eyes.
Sorry, guys. Hey.
That's all right.
Anyway.
We want to see your beautiful blues. There's something about blue eyes. I have them too. That's all I'm going to say for now. I'll just let you mull on that.
He's gonna do a bunch of research. You watch. That's what he does. But I think that that's what I can bring to the table, is just that. I can bring the connections over 25 years that has shown me that silver thread. I always want to mention William Tompkins, or Bill Tompkins, however you want to call it.
Who was that, and what did he do, and what did he say? For the audience's sake, tell us about Bill Thompson for just a few minutes.
Okay.
This could get interesting. Every time he mentions someone, it gets really interesting. So
you guys know who he is if you've done your research, but Bill Tompkins is a guy who lived through the Battle of Los Angeles. And he became a McDonnell Douglas think tank guy who would take information from think tank to think tank. And it just so happens that he ran across ETs, other creatures, beautiful ladies, as it were, secretaries of his. And it just turns out that the major, just recently on your channel,
Filer,
he believes that guy himself might be an alien.
George Filer, he thought he did.
That was beautiful. When he said that, blew my mind.
Hold on. Oh, thank you, Vern, dude. That's very nice. Appreciate it. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm buying all those books too. So that was a nice super chat. I appreciate the support. I know it came across as a green bar, so love you, man. Appreciate it. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
Did he have a question?
So Bill Williams. No, he just said he was a big fan and he watches all our stuff and he likes you.
Yeah, Will.
He likes you.
We were saying.
I like him too. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the. Appreciate it. This guy's the best. So William.
I suppose now I have to give you that $5.
No. Bill,
I'll be happy to buy you a burger, dude.
I'm good. I might have to buy you a burger. Bill Tompkins, though, he's. You need to go back, watch those videos. If you can't watch them, make sure on your YouTube when it says to look up the relevance, make sure that you put in there anytime, and make sure that you can find him, because he has multiple interviews, but each of them are important. He did a lot of stuff with Wernher von Braun. He built one of the pieces of the Apollo mission. They watched it from a secret think tank when they went to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
He claims that there's reptilians on the moon. He claimed that they met them there. He claimed that they gave the finger. Ooh.
Talk about woo-woo.
He claimed that the reptilians gave the pilots of the Apollo mission the finger when they got up there. He claims that they were already there, and that they told them basically that they're not welcome. And
is that why we stopped doing the Apollo missions and going to the moon?
To me,
you think?
I'm going to say it's a high possibility.
How interesting, because that's always been a puzzle to so many of them.
Now
we got to the moon and then we did nothing about it?
But you know what your audience is going to do? They're going to say, well, you're being hypocritical because you just said we have bases on the moon. Right? So we got to.
I said we
got to talk about that.
I have no idea if we have bases on the moon. That's a good argument, though. Yeah.
I want to bring that up because we have to fight that battle, right? So let me put it to you this way.
Right.
There may be particular parts of the moon where we're allowed, or maybe there's a particular way we get there that doesn't involve them, or vice versa. I'm not sure. I'm not them. I'm not the military. I don't know what they know. But again...
Well, if we disable NASA, the Chinese will beat us back to the moon, and they'll be able to come back and tell us. They won't be so secret, will they? I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So I know that there's been a while back where you guys heard that our Apollo missions, the videos for the Apollo missions, went missing. They just disappeared out of our inventory. Are you serious? You want to believe that? That they just would disappear?
Would they lie?
So what happened was, according to sources, is that we gave them to the Chinese to look at. And I think that we did that.
Oh, I don't believe we're that stupid.
I think we did that in a collaboration.
We had to have copies. Really? Interesting.
I think we did it in a collaboration at some point because we were using it as they were probably blackmailing us, would be my guess. And I think they're blackmailing us now, by the way. I think that
that's pretty skeptical.
I know, and cynical. I know, but I think that they're blackmailing us now. And I think they know that there's something up there that we know is also up there, and they're using that leverage to get themselves into certain places. Just saying.
They better hurry. According to Peter Zion, their population is going to be gone in 10, 15 years. I'm just saying.
You and your prophecies and stuff.
Peter Zion, man. It's not me. I'm just saying.
This guy and his prophecies. No, it's not just him. They're you've got what John Ramirez out there saying a lot of that too.
Yeah.
And Ramirez is CIA full bird colonel.
Yeah.
You guys got to remember this stuff because these are the connections. This is the rabbit holes you need to go down. If you haven't gone down all this stuff, you got a lot of shit.
I don't have that much time. I'm trying. I really am. That's why I keep calling you on the phone and talking to you. I pick his brain all the time because he's done all the research.
Or how about metals made in space? We want to talk about that. What do we want to talk about?
Yeah, metals made in space.
Metals made in space. So a metal that's made in space.
I thought they were supposed to be in forges on Earth.
Oh, yeah, they are. So we learned something kind of cool about metals made in space here on our planet. When it comes to the Japanese and their swords, they would quench it from north to south. They would stand north and south, and that's when they'd quench their blades. So anybody that's out there that's listening, Forged in Fire, the movie, quench your blades from north to south. It'll make it to where they don't break. Oh, secrets.
I'm going to have to edit that out.
I
That is
know,
top secret
secrets.
shit right there.
Well, what happens when you make it in space?
I'm sorry, folks. You did not hear that. That was secret knowledge that is going to be censored
Classified.
for right here on the Backyard Professor.
Classified.
Oh, classified. Yes, got to classify
Classified.
it to censor it.
When you make metals in space, it becomes 100% mix, whereas here on Earth, 76% mix. So if you have a carbon and a steel and you mix them, and you're not in a vacuum of space, they'll separate, which causes breakage, right? But if you do it in space, you get 100% mesh rate. So what happens when you add pressure?
Well, why does
It
that
becomes
make
stronger.
a difference? That's interesting.
Why is that? I'll tell you why. It's like graphene, right? Because graphene is like molecularly aligned perfection, like, and as soon as you add pressure to it, it gets stronger.
Because it's in the vacuum?
Not because of that, but because it's perfectly aligned. So in that small of a scale, you might be able to get away with it. I don't know.
Interesting.
But I know that when you're in space and you make metals, if you make the mixes that you need to make in order to make things indestructible, I was told this, so I'm just going to throw this out there. 2029, you send your daughter out to go play in the front yard, and she gets shot by gang fire. She walks up to you and says, "Daddy," and hands you all these beads and says, "This felt like bee stings," with a shirt just as light as mine, made out of the metals that are in space, and almost metal. Yeah. So it causes.
Do you think that'll happen by 2029?
No, that was just the thing that was given to me. That was the
I
analogy that was used.
I thought you were starting to make a prophecy. I was going to say, hold on, let me write that down. That sounds cool. I want one of those shirts. Kind of like that shirt that the Hobbit wore. What was that called? What are you looking at?
The samurai also forged their bodies in falling bodies of water from north to south. See,
oh, how interesting.
That's nice. That's good.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that either. Yeah, he tells me all kinds of crazy crap like this.
But these are connections. So my gift, guys, to humanity, I believe, is to give you those connections, because eventually one day it's all going to die out. And
what do you mean die out?
More literally than figuratively.
Don't be going that direction.
More literally than figuratively.
Don't be going that direction.
He knows something.
I'm too young yet. I've got to be that. Hey, my mom's 94 and she can outwalk me.
I'm 41.
So I've got good. We've got 88, 9 years.
Or minutes. You never know. You never know.
That's true.
But we're getting off topic.
Time is an illusion anyway, right?
Well,
or at least it's different according to relativity if you're going faster or not.
If we want to talk about connections in physics, I can, but I don't know if you want to go that deep. Not for this.
Well,
we're just having a conversation.
What do you guys think? You wanna go some more?
Tell him no. I mean, we can go more, but this going into a deep dive on physics again. You did that thing and it was
yeah. We don't want to do deep dive on physics. We want to do a deep dive on what do we want to do a deep dive on? What do you want to talk about?
We need to do a deep dive on you guys getting on this channel with all your friends. We need to bring all your friends into this conversation. Look at this guy. He's all humble. We're having this amazing conversation right now. Amazing.
They're saying it in capital letters. Keep going.
They love it, dude.
I guess you're stuck.
They love it.
Okay, he's going to continue.
All right.
And I will continue making an obnoxious nuisance of myself. See, this is the kind of fun we have all the time. I love this guy. I can't help it. We get into some other stuff that we've talked about. Seriously, that was just so much fun.
We've talked about everything.
I know.
From dirt to...
we have truly dirt.
Yeah.
And you go, come on, dude. There's nothing important about dirt.
Gold panner. I love gold panning.
Yeah. Gold panner, yeah.
I love geology.
We are gonna go gold panning together.
Geology for sure.
All I'm asking for is a chunk this big, but way heavier. That's it. I'm not asking for much.
I'll take a chunk that big. That'd be great.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. We're live, so I'm going to have to do the Backyard Professor thing and disappear for a moment or two. So you just start talking and tell them something cool. I'll be right back. I'm doing the Backyard Professor thing.
You and me are going to talk now.
Yeah.
All right.
Go easy on them.
Go easy on them. All right.
Talk loud.
All right. Well, listen, I'll do like a Q&A, okay? Let's go ahead. If you guys have any questions, ask me a question. I'm here. If anybody wonders where this comes from or why we're doing this or how we met or anything. I mean, just let me know, ask a question. I've been through this, like I said, 25 years. There's nothing that I haven't heard, nothing that I think, and we're going to continue down this road because we need to start having these confrontations. I do not have a channel. I'm pretty sure that me and Backyard Professor are just going to be the channel, and he's just going to bring me on every once in a while. And if you guys love it, we'll just keep on bringing me back. And I have some buddies of mine that have seen things, craft above their car, 5-10 feet. Seen some cool stuff. Have a bunch of people that, you know, may have dabbled here and there, but never, never really got as deep and as passionate as me and Backyard Professor. But it's rare, in my opinion, that we met each other. Just so super rare. I mean, top three books. Brotherhood of the Bell by Joseph Farrell. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing book. Anyway, yeah, so sorry. Joseph Farrell, yeah, Brotherhood of the Bell, that was a good one. Trying to think. I actually would lead you to certain philosophies. Learning what the yin yang actually means, like Eastern philosophy, learning Chinese. It's a 4,000-year-old nation, and maybe we don't like them. Maybe we do like them. I don't know, but we definitely want to learn from the things that they've learned. And to me, that's an important part of this. There are certain things that I know, like we were just talking about metals, ball bearings, what happens when you make them in space. That's an interesting topic. Or what about a whole engine? Make a whole engine in space? You ever think of that? You guys have any ideas of your own on these things? You ever ventured down those paths within yourself? That sounds interesting. Anthem by Ayn Rand. I've listened to Backyard Professor talk on his channel. Oh, I'm going to lean back. Nope, I'm going to lean back. He's back. He's back.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Not very many questions, just a couple.
It's all good.
Yep.
It's wonderful. We like questions, but we also like comments.
I leaned in.
You leaned in. You have to, because you can't see that big stuff. So, all right. So, what's our next agenda?
Well, I mean,
there's a lot of people. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Space Cow. Thanks for the deep thinking. It's sadly lacking in this day and age when we need to be creative, right? And isn't that kind of part of the fun? Him and I kind of bounce off each other, and it kind of builds a creativity. We start speculating together and laughing about it sometimes, but every now and then one of us will say something completely off the wall wild, and it ends up being one of those little connections that he talks about.
You mean like Mormonism and Sasquatch?
Yeah.
He said, tell me about the aliens and the Mormons. I know that a certain sect of Mormons believes that Sasquatch is Cain.
Yeah. That used to be, that was actually in the early Mormon.
Cain and Abel?
Yeah, Cain. It was Spencer W. Kimball that put that connection together. I never did buy that, so I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the open conversation format too. Thanks for that. Yeah, I think that him and I making this choice to have this talk the way that we do is a really good way, because it opens it up to you guys to be more in the room with us. It makes it feel like a campfire instead of a,
Hey, next time we could go over to the fire ring and start a campfire.
This guy's
and put this on the other
down.
side, and
then burn himself down.
They can see us roasting hot dogs together, cooking steaks or something.
Oh, they don't want to see my fat. Anyway.
Right.
I definitely think that we need to, though, get away from the easy stuff. I think that we need to move.
Yeah, but on the other hand, and I'm going to pull something.
I mean, between you and I, you
a,
can stay there. I'm just saying for myself and the things that I've seen. I mean, I see these orbs. I see them, and I'm not saying that's not an arrogant thing. I think a lot of people see them, honestly, and I think they don't have a way of reporting it. Not only do they not have a way of reporting it, when it happens so fast they can't even get their camera out. I don't know how many times I've tried to get this thing out when I've seen one, and it takes too long. So it's just sometimes it's irrelevant, and sometimes I just want to watch it and enjoy it for myself. That's another thing. I'm just like, wow, that thing's beautiful, and just take it in. It's happened multiple times where I just saw it myself. And there's nothing I can do about it. I can tell you that it happened. You're not going to believe me,
Well,
so I might as well.
I will.
So I might as well leave this at home and enjoy it and watch it. It's like
Right.
And then sometimes I have it open and I have Solarius open or whatever, and I'm looking to see if the stars are actually the stars and actually the satellites.
Sure.
And I see something streak by, I'm like, well, that was definitely a meteorite,
or a satellite.
But never the one that you saw there, where it stopped and turned on a dime and took off at thousands of miles per hour. I'm sorry, guys, but that one was I've never seen anything like it. Never. It was awesome. Your whole life, you're a kid, you're looking up at the stars. You've been skateboarding all day with your friends, and you lay down in the grass, and you look up at the sky, and you're tired, and all you see is satellites your whole life. And then one day,
there it is. That
what
orb.
the hell is that?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that day.
I think it's around the corner for you. I do.
Yeah,
and here's the reason why.
Even if it's not, though, it's okay at this point because I'm still absorbing and learning so much information from you and my audience online and my books, and other YouTube videos and all. And those do help make connections too. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah. So I think out of all the new stuff that's out there, 2024, 25, just recently, I mean, because we're kind of bringing it up to present day and going back and going forward and just kind of skipping around. I think right now people are hungry for entertainment. I think that they're...
Oh, isn't that true?
Yeah, so hungry.
That's the deflect, man.
Yeah.
Oh, entertain me. Yeah. That's interesting.
I'm...
Yeah, well, I mean, for instance... And I have a good enough audience, no kidding. I'm sure all of these guys have already watched it, but I actually have acquired 500 views on my deep dive on the quantum physics of Nassim Haramein.
Very good.
But sometimes I'll get 8,000 and 9,000 views. I wish I had 89,000 views, but I don't. But 8,000 to 9,000 views, and to get just 500,
right,
is somewhat disappointing in a way, but is that what it's about? Views? No, it's about helping people understand a deeper context so that we can appreciate the whole issue of the UFOs. Because, look, like it or not, you guys, I didn't make it this way. It's not my fault, but we're stuck with studying the deep stuff too. We just are. That's how this works. You can't just click a picture and think you know everything about UFOs. It doesn't work that way. You've got physics and philosophy and chemistry. Yes, chemistry and all kinds of stuff. Metallurgy to study if you're going to go into this field. And I don't mind doing deep dives. I had very many appreciative comments, and I'm grateful for that. But they take a whole hell of a lot more work to do.
True, yeah.
And they're not as popular.
Yeah.
But you see some YouTubers who do the entertainment, and that's where people gravitate.
I think that's why people gravitate a lot towards like Pavel, because he does like a 20-minute thing and it's quick.
He does,
but he hits the points real good.
He's good, isn't he? Yeah. Pavel is just right there. Bam, bam, bam. In fact, it was his video that caused me to do my deep dives. Yeah, I like that kid.
And that, when it comes to physics and stuff, you're looking at me going, does he know anything about physics? And I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons that he was involved in going and looking at that had something to do with me.
Yeah.
I think I've gone there too, like physics wise. I've even written my own theories and done my own equations and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think that it's going to end in a Zen-like fashion. I think that eventually...
What do you mean?
the culmination of all the information that's out there, equations, all of that. It's kind of like Einstein said. He said, did I not just border upon something that was stupid that seemed smart? When he found E equals MC squared.
Oh, how interesting.
And that's the thing, like, if I think at the end of the day it's going to be a lot like that, where the scientists are all going to eventually realize that it doesn't end with the equation. What does it do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like they say in quantum, shut up and calculate. That's not the only aspect of quantum you need to do. That is an important one. But to just say the whole purpose of quantum is shut up and calculate is to grossly miss the point.
Right. And that's just like ufology. You've got all these crafts and stuff.
Shut up and show me the video.
Right. Shut up, show me the video. or like there's all these craft out there, or there's all these ET beings out there. There's all these things that we need to calculate. Or should we look at it as a whole and say, what's going on our planet?
Yeah.
And start to observe it in a bigger way. So then the littler things come into an easier context. Like why would,
that's a great way to look at it.
Why would ET be here in this place right now? That's a good question. And for our town,
that's an astonishing question.
Especially because of EG&G. EG&G.
Shh. Don't tell the secret.
EG&G.
The ETs are listening.
So
they already know our minds anyway, don't they?
So we can talk about Lazar.
Oh, you want to talk about Bob Lazar?
Let's talk about Lazar.
Bob Lazar. Wasn't he refuted a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, he's always been refuted.
He's always been.
Yeah. So
here's to another refutation of Bob Lazar while we confirm what he is.
Okay, so interesting thing, we live in an area where EG&G is.
Yeah.
Where one of their main bases is. Where one of their main hub. One of the big ones.
Yep.
So EG&G is an interesting thing, but EG&G is the company that brought Bob Lazar on. They're the ones that interviewed him. They're the ones that gave him his clearance. And you guys have to know that's Department of Energy.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the DOD. That's not the DOJ. That's Department of Energy.
Yep.
So when you say...
That's the DOE.
Yeah, DOE. So here's to, Bob Lazar. The EG&G aspect. So where you get the Thomas Wilson memo,
yeah,
that was EG&G, according to what was his name, the scientist. Oh, you guys know the scientist's name?
Gary Nolan.
No.
Oh.
One of the bigger ones. That's
ask my audience.
Hal Puthoff's buddy. What's his name? No. His buddy. What's his name?
Jeremy Corbell.
No.
George Knapp.
Backyard Professor.
No, yeah. I'm a nobody.
The Wilson, what was it called? The Wilson Davis memo is what it's
the
called.
Wilson Davis. Eric Davis.
Eric Davis. That's right.
Eric Davis. We knew that.
Yes.
Let's see if anybody else told us. Russell Targ. No, it wasn't Russell
He was
Targ.
getting there. He was trying to guess.
He was close, though.
So, yeah.
Russell Targ. Tim Rathbone says that, too. Tim has
Eric
connections.
Davis.
He's a good guy to know.
So, Eric Davis had a meeting outside of EG&G, which was out at McCarran Airport at the time. And my understanding is it happened in a car. And him and an admiral were talking, and he said that the admiral couldn't get clearance to the SAP because he wasn't read into the program and he had not a need to know. And that's a admiral that's saying I should be running that program, and I'm not clued in. Well, it's the same guys that brought in Bob Lazar, and here we are living in an area where EG&G has sprouted out all over the place. They own a great big fat part of our desert. I know that.
Yeah.
And there are certain places where if you step out of your car, you have a 50 cal pointed at your head. From a distance, of course, but you cannot go in certain areas.
Or a black helicopter flying, or at least it used to be.
Right. So an interesting fact, though, is why that's important is because it has a nuclear footprint, right? So we know that these things like nuclear footprints.
Yeah.
So UFOs and nuclear footprints, that's a big one. And I think that our little spot out here has had some visitors because of it. And that's why I think I'm seeing them, honestly.
You're seeing them, yeah.
They're in the northwestern sky, which is where that area is.
That's the direction of the sky I point my camera when I can get out.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you the interesting thing. So I don't know if you guys know who this is, but I'm going to throw out another name. So his name is Santilli.
Of course. I was thinking of him.
Yep.
I'm kidding.
The Santilli telescope. So if you've never heard of that, the Santilli telescope was a telescope that reportedly can see anti-light. And he started calling...
Isn't that just a word for dark?
Sort of.
Anti-light? What the hell does that mean?
I think it actually means a light that's within the dark, which sounds...
Well, that's what all light is.
I don't know how to explain it because I'm not the guy that made the telescope. Go into his physics. Go figure it out.
Okay.
This is just another guy who they want to debunk and say that he's full of crap. But when you have 200 plus patents, it's kind of hard to debunk.
Ooh.
I mean, once you have 200 plus patents and they're working,
you could almost be classified as an inventor.
Yeah. So
I'm just saying.
The Santilli telescope sees these things that he now calls IFOs, which are identified flying objects, because he identified them. He thinks that they're wearing anti-light cloaking, and that's the technology.
So what does that do for him?
I think what it does, and I might be wrong, is it's enveloping them in light cloaking. It's making it to where the light bends around them, and you see what's behind them. So they're actually there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're actually there. So he's saying that they're there now, guys. He's saying that they're actually, as he traveled the world, he saw at least one above every single nuclear installation of the world.
No.
At least one above every one of them.
Really?
Which means that they're monitoring those places closely. Not just a little bit. They're monitoring them closely. So
Interesting. It sounds sci-fi.
And so this is a part of the reason why I say we're a creature within a creature. This is a part of it. And the reason I say that is because they're monitoring the things that we do that are wrong. They're monitoring...
And make the world sick.
And make the world shitty.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
So they're monitoring especially the nuclear installations because they know that it's going to take that in order to mess up everything. So think about that. I think that what we're seeing is the remedy, and what we should be scared of is the cure. That's what I think.
Oh, interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, because the cure is not what we want. If they think that we're
oh yeah, good point.
Parasites, or they think
if we're the parasites of the viruses, then we don't want the cure.
We don't want the cure.
We got to quit being the damn viruses.
Which is why I say again, this is a scary part of the topic, because we might actually be just that to them. We might be the problem. We might be the virus or the parasite. Now, I add parasite because when Elizondo was hired, he was hired for his credentials, and one of his credentials was not parapsychology.
No,
it was parasitology.
Oh, interesting.
Didn't
he study biology too? Didn't he?
He studied parasitology.
Parasitology.
So I think that who hired him was a genius. And I think that he knew that one day that parasitology would come in handy.
You know, there's a lot of people that don't like Elizondo.
And you know what? That's okay, because even I don't trust him 100%.
Well, I don't trust anybody 100%.
And he's been going around recently showing videos and
stupid pictures,
and stupid pictures. And maybe this is the way that he gets the heat off, don't you think? Maybe this is the way
that's an option.
Maybe he slides out from underneath the scope.
The scrutiny.
Yeah. Maybe he wants to live a life.
Right. I mean, he got out, what, 2017, and that's 8 years ago, man. Yeah. He's not getting any younger, is he? We're all getting grayer, except me.
When you say we can be very locust-like, there are a lot of scientists that believe that we are the closest thing in nature to us is actually a parasite. So even though some people will say the closest thing in nature to us is ABCD, I've heard different. I've heard that we're closest to a parasite, which makes sense to me. We move around. We take resources. It's what we do. And we
Yeah.
destroy things in our path. We cause a nuclear footprint. We store it. We stash it. We put it in little areas. Kind of sounds like
and
cancer.
we pollute the earth.
Kind of sounds like cancer, doesn't it? Where all the cells, they start to come together in a certain spot. And then what happens is we cause mutation, and then it gets to be worse and worse. And, I mean, come on.
Now you're scaring me.
This is why I have to say it, though, is because I think maybe people need a little scared. I think that maybe.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't hurt us to be a little scared.
You got to be a little scared because I think that where Tom DeLonge said we should be scared, Elizondo said we should be scared, that there's a scary element to it. George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell, they said there's a scary element to it.
Yeah.
This is important. It's important to take some of that.
That can help us keep level perhaps a little better.
Yeah. And I don't want to be the guy that's always that way. I would love to think that ET is there for our betterment. I would love to think that there's a collaboration with us, and that we're communicating, and then that's okay, because to me it's just creatures communicating. But I hope that within the total ultra-terrestrial, that guy doesn't see us as the pain that has to be cured.
Oh.
So
that's worth thinking about, isn't it?
And I think the reason why that the UFOs, at least some of them, I'm not sure about all of them, maybe it's just the grays, and the grays were put here because they're drone-like beings, because that's what the ultra-terrestrial thought we looked like. So he built us to look, or built the grays to look like us, so that he could come down and kind of mingle with us, where we wouldn't be so scared. We would just die from a heart attack, but we're scared enough. We
wouldn't be so scared, it'd kill us with a heart attack.
Right. So he injects us.
That's not much better.
Like with a syringe, and we get these nanites floating through the universe. They find us because we're where the pain has occurred.
Ooh.
Which is also in alignment with.
Dang, dude, don't depress me. I'm naturally an optimist.
The atomic bomb, maybe all the atomic bombs that we blew up.
That's a pain.
That would cause maybe a pain.
That's interesting supposition there. Yeah.
I hate to get into the drug aspect of this because people talk DMT and stuff like that. I have a little experience, not a lot, but I can say this, that I think, and maybe there's other people that come to bear on this. This sounds like another woo moment. Where
all of UFO is woo moment to some people.
Earth, I think its vibration is a inward smile. Is that interesting?
Inward smile. Explain that.
Kind of like a tranquil inward love. And so Mother Nature takes care of us pretty good. I mean, we've got plants that help us.
We don't turn around and return the favor a lot.
Right, which is another reason why it interests me that today, when people still do these things and they report them, that she still has the inward smile. Whereas to me, I think...
At least we hope.
I hope she does. And I think that hopefully when they're doing these drugs and stuff, that eventually they're not going, hey, something happened to the vibration, and now it's off, or something like that. Because I've heard that...
Ooh, right. Yeah,
because I've heard that, like...
Right.
There's a vibration of the planet, and if you mess that up, you're also messing with everything else.
Oh yeah,
There's a hertz value to it and everything.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that the dumbasses in the government that threw the nuclear bomb up there in space and then blew it up in the atmosphere. I talk about as short-sighted and ridiculously stupid as you can get, and that had to have caught the attention of the ETs. That's just in the name of national. Screw NASA. Who put the military in charge anyway? We got to get rid of the. Now I'm getting rebellious, but man, look, the military IQ is like 16. All they want to do is shoot. God, so let's get some IQ going here. We can't afford to be anti-science and pro-military. Let's not get political either, because
I don't want to go there.
But anyway,
I think that's amazing. I think that there are a lot of places where this can caveat to, and I know that a lot of people have questions out there, and probably not this audience as much as others, but even just hearing those names, like we go back with Bill Tompkins, and we go through, and if we listen to the major say he sounds like he might be an alien himself, you hear that there was Nordic mind control involved there. You continue on down the road and you hear about other people talk about how the moon landing might have been faked, or the moon landing might have been this, that, or the other thing, or you get different stories from different people. But I think as time progresses, there's still that silver line that leads down the path of truth. And I think that there's a certain way of handling that line where if you don't tread too far off the path, you can tread a little off the path, but if you come back to where you just were and continue down that line, that you're going to find out there's a certain sect of people where you can believe them, especially those people like in Roswell that watch there was more than one crash, by the way. People continue to say one crash, one alien, whatever. There's multiple crashes, and there's been multiple crashes.
Yeah.
There's been multiple.
In fact, Roswell wasn't the first.
Yeah, and it proves that they're fallible, too. It proves that they are just creatures.
They are fallible. Yeah.
It proves they are just creatures. So, when you look at that, too, the argument is, if they're so smart, why do they wreck? Right?
Yeah, right.
That. Well, it's because they're just creatures like us. That's why. Simple. I even heard this.
You mean they have the technology to fly from interstellar space just to get to this Earth and crash their spaceships? Right. Well, there's nothing saying that their particular place they came from has the same gravity equivalence of our place. That could be part of it. Simple as that.
Well, I think the method of travel that they're probably using is in flight is probably as easy as our flight.
Sure.
But in using the hyper technology that they have, it's mind bending. I mean, it's amazing. So
no, it's space bending. Come on.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And so I think
that's one speculation.
Right, it is, absolutely. And I think that they need, if they know us, they know that we live in an air medium where we have to use air to travel.
Yeah.
So they're probably
at a certain chemical percentages,
correct,
with other elements
and pressure and
pressure. Yeah.
Things. Same thing as our water. They probably know how deep, how dark the water. I mean, all that stuff. So they've taken into account a lot of things, and they can use different crafts for different things. And it sounds hypocritical. I know this because when you hear me talking about craft, and then you hear me talking about pills, and then it sounds like I'm going all over the place, but they are one thing. If a creature is in a pill and it has a particular thing to do, it's going to open up and do its thing. So I'm talking about grays mostly, so we have to put this into context.
Okay.
Grays, to me, are the things that the ultraterrestrial brought to this subject.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because it's the closest thing he could find to making it look close to us.
I thought it was a
she, whatever this ultra-terrestrial is, that it's the closest thing it could find, so then it can mingle with us in at least a certain way to see if we're going to be continuing down this path of nuclear annihilation, or if we're going to continue back and go the other way. So I think that that's what they're here for, is to be the remedy, or at least to observe, as if you're observing a cancer cell.
Right.
And the other creatures, they're just looking at us like, oh shit, you got the attention of him or that. And
what a bunch of blooming idiots.
And maybe that's why they're here. Maybe they're here going, hey guys, like, you got to chill out down here. You know what I mean?
The ETs are definitely here for our own good in that case.
Yeah.
And if they have to abduct us against our will to get that message, it's all good.
Because that would be the Greys again. See? So the abductions are happening by the Greys. They're not happening by these others. Now,
I see. Yeah.
However, Travis Walton, he was taken by a mixture. So it makes me wonder sometimes if they made alliances, or if the ET didn't back engineer the Greys' crafts and take them over as drone beings to use them for their own purposes because they're that smart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's fun speculating, huh?
Yeah, enjoy that, guys. Chew on that for a minute.
Chew on that for a few minutes. And you thought you were going to come here and just watch the dingling backyard professor, didn't you? Yeah, that's why I brought him here.
I've just seen a lot of things and a lot of ways of looking at it, and
oh, that's the fun of it. We're exploring, man.
I try.
That's what it's all about.
I try my best to help people see the angles, but at the end of the day, we have to start coming to some conclusions. That's my
Well, if we can.
if we can, yeah. And let's say my conclusion's completely asinine and it's completely wrong. Well, that's great, but then that means it's either way worse or damn better.
Or way better.
And if it's better,
Hot
great.
dang.
And
Yeah.
if it's worse, oh my gosh, we're going to be in for some shit.
If it's worse, we're going to need ET's help.
We're going to need some help for sure.
Interesting.
So I, when it comes to the truth of the matter, when people are talking about what's true, what's not.
Ooh, the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
That would make a good title for a podcast station, wouldn't it? A podcast channel. The truth of the matter.
There was a gentleman on here earlier when you left, and he said, "Do you have your own channel?" No, I don't. I said, we might collaborate with the backyard professor a little more, A
little more?
Well, I do think that you guys should get more people together, though, and come to this channel. Like, honestly, this is not going to happen again like this.
I did not pay him to do that.
Where we are just having a kumbaya, a come together, a moment where we have to reflect on all the shit. This guy's been doing this now for 9 months, and he knows almost as much as me, which is insane. That means he takes all of his spare time and he uses it to research this. And it seems like he just dives deep into this stuff.
All 18 minutes of my spare time, too. That's not 17 and a half minutes. That's 18 full minutes.
It's insane how much this guy knows already. And I mean, I can only imagine a few years from now when some of this actually...
I'll know 3 more items.
18 minutes apiece. I think though that there is a culmination happening. I think people are starting to really wake up.
I think we want more knowledge.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, my audience, these guys are sticking with me, and they're always intelligent in the comments, and they're always looking for more. And sometimes they'll even cuss me out and say, no, don't tell us that. Get to this.
Okay, well, angles,
Yeah.
Let's give them some angles. Like when we were just talking about metallurgy a second ago, look at the way that the metals are folded that Gary Nolan has.
Yeah.
They're folded like samurai swords.
Right.
With materials that don't belong together. I mean, okay, you want angles? Like you want to
have at the atomic level. No less.
Yeah. You want to have exactly my point. Those were made in space, okay, in my opinion. And it makes them worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now, when you get gold that's subatomically aligned and you get monatomic gold and you get stuff like that that's just super rare, you're never going to find it on the planet, like in bulk, kind of brings you to the wonder about element 115 a little bit, too. Like maybe element 115.
Oh, wait a minute. That's a Bob Lazar thing.
Yeah, it's a Bob Lazar thing.
We can't believe him.
Yeah.
Was it he refuted last week?
Jesus.
I love teasing him about Bob Lazar because he knows so much, and I've learned so much about Bob through Nate here.
What if element 115 is nothing more than the ultraterrestrial licks his finger, goes psst, and puts out a star, and he takes the star and he hands it to somebody, and they take it and they pull it on their craft and they go and analyze it. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but what I'm saying is that in the vastness of space, the types of materials that are out there, we don't have them locally available the way, and that's what Bob Lazar said, that it's not locally available. But he also said, we have 500 pounds of it. Where did that come from? 500 pounds.
He said 500 pounds of muscovium. Isn't it called muscovium?
Yeah, it is now. It is now.
Yeah.
But But according to him, it's synthesized in an isotope that's on the island of stability when they use it on the crafts. However, what people tend to forget is that it's not element 115 in the end. In the end, it's element 116 because it gets bombarded with a proton.
Right.
Turns into 116 and has a full capable explosion, which then is caught within an electromagnetic bubble, which is then used. Some subatomic particles that come out of it. One of them gets captured, and then it extends the gravitational wave so then they can guide it around the craft and use it as black hole movement.
Dude, we need to make our own UFO and get some muscovium.
Maybe we can get AutoCAD on some of those crop circles out there and build us some components.
Yeah, right?
You
Yeah.
guys ever think of that?
Have you seen Casper Sight's new video on
I
the new
haven't.
crop circle? It's in Europe.
I haven't.
He tied it in with UFOs. That was
Really?
interesting. Yeah. Casper Sight.
What
He's
did he
fun.
What did he say about it? Do you know?
I don't.
Haven't
I
watched
just
it yet.
saw that I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Okay.
I've been too busy studying the quantum physics of Nassim Haramein.
Well, here we go. Another angle. Ready? So one of the angles that I wanted to throw out there is that there's a little group of people at one point that thought that they could take the crop circles and put them into AutoCAD and turn them into a 360-degree model and use them as components for a craft. That's what they thought ET was telling them, was to take all these really extravagant ones, the ones that were the most extravagant, turn them into components and use it to build the craft. So AutoCAD, if you don't understand, it's a three-dimensional rendering program that allows you to take a two-dimensional object and make it three-dimensional,
right?
And then take that and put it into your 3D.
Did they ever get a craft developed?
So there's two people that were working on it, and they put something together, but I think one of the people of the two ended up becoming a flop. Like they were just kind of using the other guy for his money, and it ended up being a partnership that just didn't work out. But at the same time, is that true? You know, you have to ask. There's an angle for you. Is that true? Is that a possibility? You have to ask that question. You know, these are angles that I'm giving you because these are fun angles to walk down. These are fun way. You know, let's have fun. Okay. Well, here's the fun angles. I've heard a lot of fun angles. So when people are talking about the metals, when people are talking about these things, when people are talking about samurai swords, when people are talking about ancient technologies, what about the Egyptian pyramids? What about Pumapunku, the diorite stones that had to be carved with either lasers or diamond tools? Yeah. And there's so many of them that it's just impossible, right? You know, or you look at the pyramids and you wonder, hey, is that an ancient technology that's been lost?
And not just those in Egypt. They were here in America too.
Okay, so here we go.
They're in China too.
So here we go.
And every one of them are aligned to Orion.
Here we go. Ready for an angle? Here comes an angle. In a science magazine, I'll give you guys homework. Try it. Try and look it up. In a science magazine online, there was
what's the name of it?
It's just a science magazine. I'm not sure which one.
Oh, okay.
So that's why this is going to be your own little assignment.
All right.
There was a science journal that was published that talked about rocks that were 1.5 inches to an inch tall, or no, 1.5 inches to 3 inches tall, that were being taken a picture of on Mars by Mars rover. And they said that they used a panoramic camera to do it. And I said, why would you use a panoramic camera to look at something that's 3 inches tall? You usually use a panoramic camera to look at a landscape.
Yeah.
So then I realized whoever's putting out this article might be telling us, look at this as if it's a landscape. So what I did was I took it and I put it in my paint module, and I took a few pieces of what I saw look like a sphinx with a broken head, like the sphinx had broken in half. And I took this piece and I put it 90 degrees up. I took the two pieces and I put them together, and I shit you not, there's a sphinx on Mars. And
what?
Yep, there's a sphinx on Mars.
A sphinx on Mars.
A sphinx on Mars. Absolutely. And I believe it. I'm going to say that. The word belief, I believe it. And
I've never heard that before.
I also believe that it's right next to a boat that's also on Mars.
No.
Absolutely. And that the boat was broken in half and it was turned sideways. And if you put those two pieces together and you pick it up out of the ground, one head of the front of the boat was a cobra, and the other side was a coiled cobra. And that there was actually planks that you can see.
Dude, you're freaking me out.
I'm not even joking. There you go. There's your homework. There's an angle for you. Another thing to go check out. I believe this stuff. I'm telling you. Like, okay, so if you want to get more and more woo and you want to have fun angles, these are the fun angles.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll give you all kinds of fun angles.
All right,
Stargate,
so
there you go. That's my boy right there. Let's talk about Stargates for a minute. You want to do that?
Stargate on my absolutely.
All right.
You guys don't want to hear about Stargate, do you? Shouldn't we just close this out? We're approaching 2 hours.
You ever heard of Seagate?
Haven't we gotten enough of him yet? You want us to stop? I'm teasing, I promise. All right, Stargate. Yeah, on Mars even.
Let's start with Seagate.
Seagate.
You've heard of Seagate, I'm
C
sure.
as in ABC or C as in
Water,
SEA?
C, S-E-A.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So a long time ago, there was this guy who came out that said that there was a Seagate in Yemen, in the waters in Yemen, and then it started to swirl down into the water started to swirl away and go into this gate. And so they used dolphins and they tagged them with cameras and had them go down and look at what was going on, because the dolphins are the only thing that can swim hard enough to swim away from the vortex of this thing. So they went down and they used dolphins to take the video of it, and the dolphins came back up. And as you know, the Navy uses dolphins to do a lot of things. They go down and they look at it, and they come back up and they bring the information to the Navy. The Navy looks at it and they said, doesn't surprise me because we've seen things go 200 miles an hour past our craft, right? So they keep it secret. They put it
Typical.
just as usual. Let's classify this, put it off to the side. And what ends up happening is that one of the seamates comes off and says, yeah, this is what they called Project Seagate. I was pulled into it when I was younger, and they were telling me that this was, an occurrence that happens every once in a while in Yemen. So he's like, right now, I want you to go look in Yemen and see how much of our military has our ships and subs around that area.
Right.
Well, there was 18 subs.
Non-stop.
There was 18 subs that day when I was told to go look at it, and there was a water anomaly there. Another angle.
It's all speculatory.
That's a Seagate.
Chaos and mayhem, lies and manipulation.
Right. Let's speculate some more. So where's what? Okay, Iraq. How many people believe that Iraq?
I've never even heard of that country.
How many people believe that Iraq had a Stargate? Go.
Stargate.
Go. I bet everybody, they're going to go, dude, that happened. Because it did. It happened. Okay. So what happened is when we invaded Iraq, the first place that we went was?
Babylon.
Exactly. But we went to the museum. And we went down into the basement. And here's the funny part. The people in the military, our military, were not told to go into the basement. They were told to stand down. And there was a group of people that came off of a Jeep that were wearing all black, that had keys. And they went down.
Now, where did you get this?
I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
So they go down and they open up the basement. They pull it open and they go in. And what do they take? They take cylinder seals and they take rings. Rings, guys. Stargate rings. They took the rings. So when the invasion of Iraq happened, they said this operation was successful in finding weapons of mass destruction. How is that possible if we didn't find weapons of mass destruction? Because they were talking about a different type of weapon. That's why. Right?
That sounds like a conspiracy theory.
That's a hard yes on Stargate. See? Even your audience.
The Ark of the Covenant was there in Iraq.
Believe you.
That's a hard yes on
Believe
Stargate.
you.
That's Dusty Gee. All right, you win the ding, 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 ding. He wins the 10 points right there.
That's only worth 5
Okay,
cents.
we're going to have it's only worth 5. Sorry, I gave you 5 bonus. Don't tell me I've never done nothing for you, pal. All right. All of the Stargates in ufology look like a doorway.
Okay.
Heiser Souls are he's one of the good guys.
So he wants to dive a little bit deeper into this. So let's talk about it a little bit.
Good grief, Heiser. How deep are you going to take us? All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, Stargates.
What do you got?
Stargates. Deep Stargates. So you guys know the Dan Burish story. The Stargates.
The who?
Dan Burish.
Okay.
Recently been very, very talked about in the news, in ufology news. Dan Burish claimed that he had seen a Stargate, but it was only capable of passing information one way, from them to us. Right?
Okay.
So, interesting. He showed us how it was put together. And he said that there were rings and that there was a barrel component and that there was a gray material that was inside of the barrel and that there was markers that they put up around the Stargate that allowed it to amplify the strength of it. And he supposedly pushed ET into it, but we won't go there yet. But
we're supposed to be going deep.
No, not that deep. We're just going to keep it light.
I'm disgusted.
So anyway, that's another Stargate story, right?
Okay. We'll do that for the next time we get together. You want to do that?
Dan Burish?
That'd be fun.
Burish story?
No, keep going.
Okay.
I want to hear the rest of this.
All right.
I mean that other.
What about remote viewers that have seen Stargates? You ever heard of that?
Remote viewers can't see Stargate.
Right. They don't see anything.
Remote viewing is fake.
Right. So are psychics.
Haven't you read the science?
I haven't.
I have. I actually have a book by what's his nose on remote viewing that turned out to be superb. I'm becoming a believer.
I hope that we're turning you guys into. I hope that you guys are liking this. I hope that this is striking you in the right way, because this is stuff that actually needs to be figured out too.
So, do you really think we could possibly go backward in time, or only forward in time?
I think we can't do it linearly. I think it has to be timeline jumping. Just throwing that out there. I think that eventually we do it. By the way, I do believe that.
We have to if the ETs are from our future to save our sorry asses.
Okay, so now you're talking about us in the future. That's another type of creature. That's us. That's just us.
Right.
And that's fine too. So remember that too, because we're just creatures. We end up doing a certain thing we call time travel, and it happens. And I believe that it happens. And I only believe that because my dad believes that, which is interesting because he doesn't believe shit. I'm serious. He doesn't believe shit. He's an Air Force guy.
You don't really believe it then? If he doesn't believe shit, that has to include that.
To me,
I'm just throwing some logic at you, pal.
Okay, so there was.
We have these arguments all the time. This is so much fun.
There was 2 time travel events that happened just recently.
All right. Oh wait. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
2 time travel. Where are you getting that information?
I'm gonna unload it on you right here. It's an exclusive. So
here we go. You wanted to go deep. This is your fault, audience. I didn't ask him to do this. You did.
Okay, so the 2 time travel events that you need to pay attention to. One of them was a guy who got vastly rich on Wall Street.
Warren Buffett?
No.
He did too.
Well, he got rich, but he didn't get ousted. This guy got ousted, and when they captured him, he disappeared. You guys know that story, I'm sure, right? That this happened. This guy got absolutely wealthy on Wall Street, and when they captured him, they put him in a cell, and the next morning he wasn't there.
Well, how do you know that proves time travel?
Because he won on Wall Street a ridiculous amount of money and then disappeared. And he said he was from the future. And he said that's where he got his information. And when they questioned him, that's what he said.
He's gone, huh?
Okay, so
all right. There's one more story.
There's one more.
One more, okay.
A guy shows up in the middle of a grocery store and he starts stealing shit. And people are like, what is this crazy guy doing? He takes 3 items, only 3, and he walks out. Just walks right through the shit, doesn't even care. And they capture him and they say, what are you doing, guy? And he says, well, I'm just getting my allotted items. And they said, you're stealing items? We're going to take you to jail. And he says, listen, I can't go to jail because I'm allotted these items, right? And they're like, no, you have to buy them. And he said, oh, well, where I come from, I don't have to buy them. I'll just give them back if that's okay. And then they were like, well, where do you come from? And he says, well, I come from here. And then they were like, well, you're wearing some interesting clothing. What's going on with you? And he says, well, it turns out that your newspaper is telling me that this is the year 2023. And it's, okay, I get it. Sorry, guys. Here's the stuff. Do what you will with me. I can't say anymore. So this guy ends up living in an apartment, which I don't know if he's paying this guy under the table to live in the apartment or not. I don't understand the full details. But I do know that he then went on camera. He passed a lie detector test. And it's not the one that was, let me point my finger. It's not the one that was outed before Sebastian. That guy was fake. But this one's different. So he only had a 40-minute interview. And the interview talks about how shitty the air is in the future and how if you knew that these cell phones were causing a ridiculous amount of radiation that you don't understand, that these can actually cause you mucho problems, that he talks about that. He talks about how he's happy to see leaves again. I mean, insane stuff. So that was another happening. Just another angle.
So where did you get this info from?
It's all out there. It's all stuff people can
You
look
told
up.
me you'd tell me, though.
Research. Just go look it up. No, these guys need to go have fun. That's what this is about. These guys want the angles. Stuff that I've researched. I know that some of you have done this. But I am telling you, you want to have fun? Take a day and go do this. Go look at this stuff. Get your weekend
I'm
set.
calling in sick
There
tomorrow.
you go. Get it set up.
No,
So-
I can't. I can't do that.
So
I wish I could. But
we're talking about stargates. We're talking about time travel. You know, you want some more angles? Give me some more angles. Okay, so are we out of the Stargate topic, or we want to keep going?
I don't know. Let's ask him.
Stargates, time
What do you
travel.
guys think? Stargate?
Stargates, time travel, anything. I
Laughing out loud. Just another angle.
just another angle. I've seen a lot of things, guys. Like when you talk about time travel, that's an interesting one. I've heard about people that have time traveled and been captured right away and brought back really quickly. I've heard about stargates being used improperly in the past, and then they had to shut them down, break down all the components, and pass them around to different places so then they wouldn't be put back together. I've heard,
Interesting.
I mean, some of them I believe and others I don't. I mean,
Right.
there's some that have a trajectory that leads to military intervention, and there is a paper trail. Those are the ones I'm citing. I'm citing the stuff with paper trails, stuff that actually you can go look up and has real tangible shit behind it. Like you can go look it up. You can get your hands on it and be like, damn, that's crazy. You know, like that really happened. Or what about the guy who, there's a third one, I guess. Because there was a guy who showed up in somebody's shed overnight and nothing happened. Nobody went in, nobody came out, but he just came out of this guy's shed. He was a time travel, and he started walking.
Now, you know, I just had Robert from Custodian Files on last week on my live, and he knows a time traveler.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Glenn Falkenstein, who was quite popular in the 1970s.
Okay.
They dubbed him as a magician and all that.
Oh, I think I know this.
Yeah. He was a mentalist, and
Didn't he just recently say something about it again? Like that he wanted to set the record straight and make sure that people knew he was a time traveler again? Just recently.
Yeah, that was on my show.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So now here you are talking about it with different people. So that's crazy.
AGI. So what is Stargate for if they have vehicles that can travel so fast? I'll tell you what it's used for. You ready for this? If you have the ability to have a platform, an easy platform, because they're light, they're not a heavy material. My understanding is that they're like aluminum titanium rings. They're not really that heavy. They're used on the space station, the type of metal. And if you have a platform like that you can put onto, let's say, a C-30, what was it, C-31, C-30, I can't remember, Star Lifter. Anyway, big old cargo plane. And you have it set up on a cargo plane that's moving nice and steady. And you open up a Stargate in the cargo plane, and you push a warhead through one side that pops out the other. You got yourself quite the teleportation device to drop something. So that's what I mean by WMD. You're using a Stargate as a teleportation device. You're opening one side by dropping it through the other. So I don't know how they want to do that. Put it on the bottom of the ship and lower it down a little ways and then just drop it. You can have extremely light aircraft hauling ass thousands of miles an hour and just go carpet bomb with nukes and take out the entire country, all with one plane, because it can haul ass and use a Stargate. Angle. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Sounds like conspiracy and speculation.
Right now, I like that. See, it is conspiracy and speculation. That's the angles you guys want, though, right now. So, so here's the question, kind of for the audience, and we'll talk about it. Have you guys ever seen anything weird like that? You ever seen a time traveler? You ever seen an ET? You ever thought that you saw?
Yeah, I see time travelers once a week,
all
dude.
the time. This guy, he sees them in his dreams and at work. And I'm just joking. I don't think he sees anything. but if have you ever thought you saw something? I mean, anything strange? Because we want to talk about some people that I saw at work one time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, you want to talk about
that? Sure. Yeah. So
all right, you keep talking. I'll be right back.
All right.
That is an interesting.
Lean forward again on you guys. I know we don't want to ruin the camera angle. So something that I've seen. All right. Do I believe that I've seen an ET or a hybrid or something like that? So we're going to ask you guys, and I'm going to tell you what I've seen. And this I'll tell you that you should pay attention to, so then maybe you can spot this on somebody around you. So we live in an area where this is possible, because, I mean, I'm not saying that this is more possible in this area, but what I'm saying is that it's possible in the sense that, taking that off. Sorry about the hair, guys. So I've seen what looks to me to be this way. I worked at a car dealership, and I was meeting a lot of people, and there were a bunch of people that would come through daily, and you can see it's a great way to meet a lot of people. And so I met a guy who had only a small amount of miles on his truck and wanted to get an oil change. And of course we agreed to it, and it was one of a fleet of trucks, and he comes in, and it's his personal truck that they allow him to use out at a certain area in this area that is considered a highly sensitive area. So he comes to the dealership to get his oil change, and I say yes. We get to talking because it's a nice truck, and I say it's a nice truck, and we continue to get to know each other a little bit, and I take his information, have him go sit down, drink a cup of coffee, get done with it, and start talking to him again. And we're on our way out to his truck. It was my job to kind of escort him out to the truck. And I noticed something about his eyeball. He has a tiny little pearlescent, opal, square-shaped, what looks like a chip, like a microchip in the back of the black of his eye. And the sun catches it just right. And I say, have you ever had any eye surgery or anything? And he says, why would you ask that? And I said, because it just something about your eyes, you know, it looks different. And he says, yeah. He says, I've never had any surgery or anything. He's like, but I've been told this before. And I said, okay. I said, you know, it's really kind of pretty. I mean, sounds bad. I said, but it's really interesting. And he's like, well, you'd be one of the only ones that could spot that. And I thought that was an interesting way of putting it. I would be one of the only people that could spot that. And then he says, you know, you have a good day, Blue Eyes. Okay. So this is another idea for you. And I know he's going to talk about blue eyes in a certain way here shortly, but I just put it to you like I saw more than one of those types of people. And one of them I asked where he was from. The answers will blow your mind. So the particular guy said that he was from, he kind of mumbled it, so I didn't catch it at first. But it was a star system. That was interesting. So do you believe him or do you not believe him? I don't know. But why are they coming to me all of a sudden? See, that's the thing that you got to start wondering. Like, are certain people a certain way, and that's the reason why you'll see them come to you? So is
kind of like that hybrid came to me at Contact.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
And people thought I was lunatic.
Right.
I just simply expressed the experience.
Right.
Maybe I am lunatic. That's true, but
we're all a little loony. We have to be.
Some of us a little more than others, like myself.
Yeah.
But
Sorry that I had to
this is
show
crazy
you all
stuff.
my patch, my head.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. You're still just as handsome without the hat as you are with it. Yeah, whatever. You can move that so you can read it. Flattery, they love that.
They got you on the list, homie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I'm glad he said homie, keeping it real like that. my upbringing was in the 90s. When you say homie and you try and talk street, I know what you're talking about, buddy. I grew up in the 90s, my friend. I had all kinds of fun martial arts wise. I've been jumped, I've been fights,
Oh, stop bragging. All right. What else we want to talk about? We're after 2 hours. You guys want us to keep going? He's got more stuff to share with you if you want, or we can call it good and we can do a second show. It's entirely up to you guys. What do you think? I know I've retained the audience pretty good. There's still about 100 here.
Still kicking, huh?
Which is pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad.
You guys don't have anything better to do
than listen to a couple of homies?
Well, think about it. I spent 25 years researching the topic, so I had a lot of time, a lot of things.
Of course, then I don't suppose anybody's going to say, no, you guys need to shut up now. We've had enough. So they'll probably say, yeah, keep going. But homie, don't play that.
Oh, see, look, right there.
Hello from Australia. Woohoo!
Nice.
Welcome, Australia. More. Oh, Liberty for All wants more. Well, okay, come back next week. Oh, no, just kidding.
So it's interesting you mentioned a mantis creature.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Do you remember what's her name that was just debunked recently?
What's her name? Now you're starting to sound like me.
And Angelina and Angelia. Anyway, you guys know who I'm talking about. Anyway, she claimed that some guy that she worked for led her out to an area that he owned, big, vast area of property, and said that she meant a pink and purple mantis being underneath in some cave system that he had on his property. And it was found out to be bunk. And I laughed about it because you could tell that lady, I mean, she was ex-CIA, which was interesting to me. Like, why is this lady talking about this mantis being?
And she got debunked.
She got debunked, yeah, in a big way. She couldn't produce.
Okay.
When they asked her to produce, she couldn't produce.
So why are you bringing her up?
Because it's interesting. This guy said mantis beings. And I've heard of mantis beings. Yeah. I think that they're another creature that we deal with for sure.
Me too, yeah. There's several different species, apparently.
They're smart, too, by the way, my understanding.
Yeah, they are. But who are the tall blues?
I don't know.
Not the Arcturians, the Pleiadians. They're the ones in charge.
Actually, you're the only one that I've ever heard talk about a blue alien. Blue alien.
Artie Six Killer Clark talks about them a lot in her second book.
Really?
The Space Age Indians or whatever.
See, because I saw them. I've seen them in my dreams, which is strange. I'm not saying that that's an experience that's real. That's a dream. It is, according to Artie Six Killer Clark. Several of her people she interviewed says that's how they contact. They look like Shaquille O'Neal on drugs, though. Dude, you're an experience. They're so weird, though. They're like, and then they talk to you. That's irrelevant. They really have appeared to you in dreams. And they talk to you weird, dude. Like, I gotta tell you, the one that I met, it talks to you through you, but you don't sound like you. You sound like you're the voice of God. You're louder than hell. And you're deep voiced like a demon. Like really deep and really? Like wise and stuff. And it tells you things. And I'm just like, dude, these are my dreams. Now everybody's going to accuse you of being possessed and owned by Satan because you said the D word. That's what I need. You dipstick. I use the D word too. All right. What else have we got here? Shiva is a blue alien? Yeah, Shiva's a blue. Now that is, I've seen that said in comments of some of my videos. Shiva is the blue Far Eastern Indian deity. Is that the one? Where did they get the idea? Yeah, where did they get the idea of Shiva being blue? That is very interesting. Let me just ask this. Shiva's the one with the weapons, right? Yeah, so was Kali. Well, but Shiva's the many-armed one, just like Kali. Well, yeah. I thought that Shiva was a metaphor. I thought
Shiva's a deity if you go into India.
Shiva was a
back east
metaphor.
somewhere.
I thought the reason why they used Shiva,
Could be.
the reason why they used Shiva was because they said that if she stopped with the use of one blade, she lost the use of all the rest.
And
it was used as a metaphor to say
there's movement everywhere.
You can trip over yourself, basically. It's kind of like what Bruce said. Bruce Lee, by the way, big fan.
Yeah.
Caterpillars, when they're walking, they walk on thousands of legs. But when they stop to think about walking, they trip.
They can't. They just do it.
They just do it, right? That's what I mean by Shiva. I thought it was used as a metaphor in the same sense.
Interesting. Well, I mean, it could be. Sure, why not?
Well, I'm crazy.
If that makes sense. There's a lot of metaphors in religion and spirituality anyway, right? So, I mean, it's the literalists who keep getting refuted by the atheists, incidentally. I mean, the Bible is a very excellent text if you quit being so woodenly literal with it all.
Hey, Dusty, remind me who Grant Cameron is. Remind me who
Grant Cameron, he's the fast-talking son of a gun. He's got a chapter in What's-His-Head's book that I just recently read. Grant Cameron is one of the big UFO guys. He's the one that whose dog Chris Bledsoe healed.
Oh.
Grant Cameron. Yeah, if I remember right. I'll have to ask my wife.
Let me throw a name out there that hasn't been said in quite a while in ufology.
Who?
Michael Schratt. That dude is a genius.
Tell us about him.
Michael Schratt. You guys know Michael Schratt, the guy that has all the iterations of crafts over the years, and he has like 2D and 3D renderings of them. Oh man, he's awesome. Yeah. He is a historian of crafts that have been seen, and he will take the witness and he'll make a rendering of what it will look like in real life.
Is he the one that did it so exact that they got after him?
Yeah. No. That's still William Tompkins. They got after him because he was making the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you about that here in a minute. But
all right.
But Schratt he's a genius. He's like amazing at making what the crafts look like. Oh man. It's been a while since I heard his name. I just thought I'd throw it out there. Schratt is amazing. And he reminds me of Dolan a lot, actually. I think him and Dolan were on a podcast once together, and the two of them, they're perfect jive, dude.
Really?
Amazing. Yeah. Him showing the crafts and Dolan being like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah, Dolan amazing. Would get
excited
about that, wouldn't he?
And,
heck, I'd get excited about that.
I would love to meet Schratt. The guy is awesome. I wanted to say this. My dad worked at Norton Air Force Base in 1986, 87. I think it was 86 and 87. And then we came here from California to here. Norton Air Force Base is now a museum. But in 1989, there was a guy named Mark McCandlish, who said that there was an air show where he was privied to go behind certain curtains and saw 3 discs hovering in a hangar. And there was a bunch of generals and stuff around. And McCandlish is the one that gave Greer the RAV, what is it called? The alien replication vehicle, ARV.
The ARV.
Yeah. He's the one that gave him the 3D rendering of that ARV. But you know what? You know what Hal Puthoff calls that craft?
What?
This is something that nobody on here I bet knows. What did Hal Puthoff call the craft that everybody calls the ARV? He called it the RAM. Replication Alien Machine. I love that. Replication Alien Machine.
Hal Puthoff, he doesn't know much, does he?
I would say he's pretty deep into that shit.
I would say it's too bad he can't talk about any of it.
I would say he's leaving shit prints on his way out the door every time he leaves work.
I sure wish he'd do a lot more.
But anyway, Replication Alien Machine. God, I love the way that sounds.
Yeah, Replication Alien Machines. Yeah, that is nice.
That's like
it's got a good ring.
That's like the von Neumann probes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an alien von Neumann probe, is what I'm saying. Replication
Right,
alien machine,
right.
something that comes down and down and down and keeps on repeating itself, so then it can get further and further and further along. And that's what they think they have, is a replication alien machine. We got a cutaway of that bird, and then they used that to back engineer one of them, and they hoped a guy named what was his name?
Just call him what's his face.
Oh yeah, what's his face? Oh man, I have so many names in my head. I've said at least 100 today.
We need it. We need you to do the 400.
I know. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. So him and a team of guys was going to put together a back engineered craft, and they didn't call themselves the aviary, but that is an interesting term that they did use back
It
then.
is, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember that guy's name. The infamous. The infamous. They called him the infamous, and he wore glasses inside. He was the guy that put the counter measure machines in the White House during the Watergate, and he's also one of the guys who studied Waco after that whole incident with the people in Waco.
That wouldn't be James Tabor. He's a biblical archaeologist, but he also studied Waco.
I'm trying to remember his name now. But
I wonder if one of these guys know. Montauk Bialik?
No, but I know Al Bialik. He is a
Al Bialik? Is that how you?
So if they want to talk about that, we can too. Al Bialik, you know who that is, right? Al Bialik. No. He's the one that did the Montauk project. I thought he was a part of the. I thought he was a part of the Philadelphia experiment, right? Or was that his buddies? I can't remember. Anyway, you know the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah.
Where the sidekick was sitting in the chair.
Right.
And people were stuck in and out of the crowd. I told you that.
Yeah.
So that was a time travel situation, but I don't think. But they were not trying to time travel. They were trying to cloak that boat. That's all they were trying to do. They were just trying to cloak it, and what ended up happening was time travel, which is how I think we acquired time travel.
That's a heck of a mix-up, isn't it?
That's how we acquired time travel. I think we already have it, guys, by the way. I think some people are, I think that there's probably a sect of people that have a good operating version, and then there's people who don't, and that version will probably kill your ass if you try it. So you got to be real careful. Time travel can mess you up. I think that it'll scramble your eggs.
Remind me not to do it tomorrow.
Let's see. What else do we have here? Montauk, Al Bialik. Yeah, I just said that. There are dudes that were stuck in the middle of the craft. And then what happened was they ended up in a hospital, and in that hospital, they saw nothing but documentaries because they no longer have normal TV. And then what happened was they decided after they got better that they needed to make it back to their time, and I think ended up back on the boat and then jumped off the side or something and ended up coming back. I'm not 100%. I don't remember 100%. I'm trying to. Some of this stuff is still. I mean, it's old information to me. So old that it's so hard to pull out of there, but it's there. I know you guys know what I'm saying. Yep. Yeah, the Montauk chair. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Yep. The psychic chair.
Yep.
Something that was supposed to amplify the psychic waves, which is interesting. I know that that psychics have been used in criminal affairs to solve crimes, and people have been found that way.
Solve remote viewers.
There's the FBI agent. I can't necessarily remember his name at the moment, but he was the guy who they based the X-Files off of because he had archives of people who were just standing next to their kids walking down the street. Next thing you know, kid was just disappeared, like in 2 seconds, and like they had no explanations for these things, and like he had to go and do the cold case files, and he found out that a lot of it had to do with the UAP topic, and he had to write it off as it's a phenomenon. And today he has books out. I can't remember his name though. Oh yeah. So I could make all kinds of connections. Indian guy. You guys know who
read it out loud. Which one did you read?
We're talking about the Miami Mall. Oh, okay. You want to talk about the Miami Mall event? Do you remember that?
The which?
The
The Miami Mall event? Tell us.
Okay, there was like hundreds of cops outside of the Miami Mall because they thought 3 9-foot tall aliens came out of a portal inside of there.
Inside of a Miami Mall.
Inside of a Miami
Why
Mall.
couldn't they have come to a closer mall like in Salt Lake City?
This guy right here, he wants to see a mall or alien so bad that
No, I don't.
if you have one,
Yeah, if you have one, send it over.
tell him spend $1 million and I'll show you my alien.
Well, what's the Miami Mall event?
I just told you
the tall.
That's
So what did they do with
tall,
them?
dark.
What
black.
happened to them? What
So,
did they do?
this
Where
is-
did they go?
Okay, let's start the whole thing then from the beginning.
No, they're in the mall. We've got that. They're
they're in the
9-foot
mall.
beings.
But
What
just,
next?
Just let's back up. So what happened was, supposedly some kids were playing with fireworks inside the mall,
Right,
and it started to cause a popping noise.
right.
And that popping noise got the attention of people to where they thought it was an active shooter, so they started to run. But what other people saw is not the same thing as fireworks. Some people, the popping that they saw was the opening of the portal.
Okay.
So there's mixed stories as to what happened. Like, was it the popping that opened the portal, or was there even a portal? What
yeah,
happened?
sounds like a conspiracy theory again.
An angle.
An angle. So where did they go? These aliens.
Okay, so
What
supposedly the aliens started walking the perimeter, and like people were seeing them and stuff, and like it makes you wonder, like what really was seen there. I didn't see aliens, man. I think it's bunk.
Were you there? Oh no, you.
I saw the videos where people thought they were aliens. There was 2 people walking next to each other that made a bigger shadow, and people were like, "That's it." I was like, "That's not it."
Oh, yeah.
You know, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
but here's the thing: it does make you wonder, though, why so many cops? Because there was like hundreds of cops.
Because they were setting fireworks in the middle of the mall.
Yeah, but does that require 100
Hundreds?
fucking cops? I would think maybe.
Well, I mean,
5.
they have to justify their big police force so they can keep
Yeah.
getting drug dealers. It is Miami, right?
I think that
I'm here to help.
I think I can see. Drink. Is that water?
That is my version of Everclear.
Las Vegas sightings even better than Miami. Yeah, they are. They were ridiculous. I couldn't understand a damn thing. Guy's right. Like, it was really difficult to read through all that crap that they were saying. And when you were looking at it, you were going, "Where's the truth? Where's the silver thread in all this? Is there a silver thread in all this?"
Right.
I
right.
couldn't pull out a silver thread. I couldn't see it.
Interesting. All right.
I saw that one too. The crash one in the backyard. Now that one
Where was that?
in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas,
You
yeah.
remember that?
And I actually saw that guy who claims he solves a lot of cases,
Right.
and he said that he guaranteed it's a real event.
Yeah.
I hate to be the skeptic, but I'm not convinced yet.
I'm a little more convinced of that one.
Are you?
Yeah. The
I'm
reason
not.
why is because the kid that was involved in that, he was just a little kid.
Yeah, but they said he made it up later. He confessed to making it up.
Okay. Well, again, I can be wrong.
Well, so could I. So could they.
You saw that green fireball too? Yeah, I saw that too. But I've also seen meters that are green fireballs.
You've seen green fireballs?
Oh, yeah.
Yourself?
Even here. Yeah, for sure. I saw 3 of them head over the mountainside, southeast.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Over Caribou Mountain. Yeah.
They used to pan for gold there, or mine for gold.
I pan for gold there.
Yeah.
It is well.
Any luck?
This one might be. Okay, so that's a good question. I think that dog whistle.
What did the questions ask?
What
Say
is,
it out loud.
what is the dog whistle?
What is the dog whistle?
Jake
That's
Barber.
where you blow something and your dog comes.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah, that's part of it.
How hard is this?
Winning.
Winning. That's why they call me
So-
the backyard professor. Dog and whistle.
So I think he's referring to Jake Barber, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jake Barber.
Yeah. That's the famous Jake Barber thing.
So Jake Barber.
Hi, little buddy. My dog's outside, so
He's a cute little dog. So Jake Barber says that there's a dog whistle. I think if I had to put my finger
did
on
I have the water on all this time?
Yes. He did.
Are you serious? Tell them about Jake Barber. I got to go.
So Jake Barber
I hope I didn't flood the basement.
Said that he has a way of summoning these things, and he calls it the dog whistle. Well, I think that if it's anything, it's gonna be the same thing as a nuclear footprint, only less dangerous. I think it's gonna have maybe the same vibrational effect in the atmosphere that radioactivity has, probably. Again, I'm not a physicist. I don't know 100% if that's true. But if I had to put my finger on it, it's going to be something like that, because that's what actually draws these things in really well. Yeah, human Wi-Fi, like that. So yeah, like an EMP pulse. So, but I think that it's going to be a signature of an EMP pulse. Maybe not necessarily to the degree of a giant EMP pulse. Maybe a way of building up energy to a certain point to release it, and then maybe that's what calls them in. But I'm not 100% sure how hardcore that would have to be. I mean, I would think it would have to be pretty big to summon something. But if you're at a range, see, this is what I have a hard time with Jake Barber. They go to the range to do this, and you know what they're talking about when they say range. They're going to Area 51, or they're going to a range that's a military installation anyway, which is where those crafts are found. Like, they're already monitoring the area. So are they bringing them in, or are they just revealing themselves like, hey, I'm already here, idiot? It makes you wonder, because right here above this house, you're not going to have that dog whistle right here. And if you did, could you see it? But with all these the tree covered, no, you couldn't see it.
Right.
And so
he has to go to an open area.
Right. So, I mean, to me, there's a little bias there about how a dog whistle should work. Dog whistle, you're going to have to be out in an area where not only that clearing, but you're also going to probably want to be where they've been seen before. And he's definitely been to a range where he's seen a bunch of them, right? So he's going to see them anyway.
Well, so he says.
Or so he says.
I haven't seen any video evidence out of Jake Barber, hardly at all, this whole year. That one quick, short 5-second clip does not cut the mustard.
Right.
I'm just putting in my 2 cents worth. I've made videos on that. I've made enemies, and I've made friends doing that too. So,
okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So, shit, I just lost my train of thought.
What else you reading? I'd be interested to see if there are sightings when the plasma generators being tested are fired up.
Okay. So I don't know what that is particularly, but I was gonna say something about high amounts of electricity. Okay. So if you remember, a long time ago, a guy named Bill Uhouse, which is part of the which is part of the Dan Burish story as well. Dan had a we'll slide in here. So Dan had a ET, and Uhouse had an ET, different facilities. One of them was Alamos.
Yeah, he actually worked with them.
And one of them was S4.
And talked about it. Yeah.
So the one in Alamos, it goes further than that. Supposedly they made simulators for the crafts, simulators for the UFOs. Once that UFO was down and the two aliens went to the places that they went, there was supposedly a simulator that was built, and his dad, Bill Uhouse, and there's Will Uhouse. So Bill is his dad, and he worked on making the simulators. And the simulators, my understanding is, the voltage was so high that the distortion inside of the craft actually slowed you down, which would make it really difficult to use the craft. So he hypothesized that you had to be in the craft first, and then they turn it on, and then you can use it, and the only thing you do is move your fingertips.
Really?
Yeah, because now that's what those hand panels were for, that they found. You just put your hand on it and you can move with just.
Well, the way the government compartmentalizes everything and keeps secrets from every other department, they'll never figure stuff out like that.
But I just want you to remember when I'm talking about it, these are angles. So this is all stuff I've researched. You guys know my conclusion now. But I can have fun with you and travel down these wormholes that I've already traveled down, a lot of them. And I like to show you the angles that I never came to conclusions on that are fun. Like Stargates.
It is fun.
I've never seen a Stargate, but it would be
Right.
awesome to see one.
I'd like to go through one.
I would love to just peek in there, see what to see.
I'd like to go see what's over there.
So you ever thought that looking through the looking glass on Alice was kind of a
Stargate thing?
yeah?
Yeah. What was he trying to tell us?
Did you ever watch the movie The Last Mimsy? The Last Mimsy. Watch that.
The Last Mimsy? How do you spell that?
Just like that. Mimzy.
The Last Mimsy.
Yeah,
Why should I watch that?
Because it's an amazing video about two kids that came across some toys that ended up creating a Stargate. It's pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah.
The Last Mimsy.
The Last Mimsy.
Who makes up this stuff? Steven Spielberg?
Whoever this one was a genius. I love that movie.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
I will write that down. That's one of the secrets to my research. Write stuff down.
Well, I don't think it's a plasma shield, dude. You know what I think?
Hold it. Read the question.
Oh, sorry. What was the question?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
You fix it.
Read it out
This is your
loud.
material. This is his machine.
What are odds you think Skywatcher will prove psionics by the end of the year? Is that the question you had? Zero.
That's my
Zero?
answer. Yeah, that's my
You're
answer.
a skeptic.
You know why? Because if psionics was a thing, we should all be doing it.
Say that again.
If psionics was a thing,
they'd all be doing it.
we would all be doing it. Because the way that he makes psionics sound is that you have to have a guy who is basically trained in psionics. Well, that means that there's a class in psionics. And if there's any class like that, it's with all those guys back at SRI, right? And we know that that's a place where even Sean Ryan just went to go check out and see how to remote view and whatever. So is that psionics? Is remote viewing psionics? Because then Elizondo's a psionics guy then too. And so is everybody else that's been through SRI.
Tracy Dolan,
all
Richard's wife.
All that
She's
shit.
a
They're all
remote viewer.
psionic then. But the thing is that...
Are any of them calling anything in?
I
That
don't
they're
think
getting
so.
evidence
I
with?
don't think so. I don't think they're going to prove
So
psionics.
you don't believe in psionics?
The only reason why I don't believe in psionics currently is because if anybody... Because it makes it sound like we're using superhuman capability. Now, I don't think we have superhuman capability, but I think we have human capability. So we're humans. We have a consciousness. We know that we are different than others because we have a dichotomy where we can see ourselves and know ourselves, whereas other animals, they only have instinct and can observe.
They don't have self-reflection.
Right. Well, as far as we know, they don't. Right.
Right.
So, to my opinion on that is that there's something to tune into. So if we're all using the same consciousness, we just need to tune into it. Once we're tuned into it, then we'll be at the equal level with them, and we just need to find them amongst the rest of
Degree of
us.
space.
We need to find them amongst the rest of us then. So it's not really necessarily a psionics. I mean, you can call it psionics, I guess, but I just call it our consciousness, the use of our consciousness. You know, it's not woo-woo in my opinion. It's something that I have experienced in a way. I have felt like I can talk to animals at certain points. I have felt like they can talk to me. I mean, think about it. Your dog talks to you all the time.
I talk to my dog all the time,
And
too.
that
Come
too.
here, buddy.
But he'll also talk to you
Oh, yeah.
by he trains you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I guarantee
See,
it.
anybody that has animals knows
I guarantee
the animal
it.
trains you. You don't train the animal.
Oh, yeah.
He
The
tells
animal
you when
trains
he
you.
needs to go to the bathroom,
Absolutely.
and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And
he tells you when he's
so-
hungry and when he's sleepy and when he misses you.
Right. This guy said it. Tap into them. Just tap in. You know, it's that easy. I like that, how simple that is. Tap in.
Tap
It-
in.
it-
yeah.
Because I don't want to sound like a godlike figure that you have to be some kind of fucking guru to do it.
Right.
You just got to tap in, right? Tap in.
Isn't that why they say to learn how to meditate?
Well, I think that part of tapping in is just knowing the frequency, first of all. And if the frequency,
Well, how do you get that without meditating?
okay, good. So the frequency, I think, has been given to us. I think that
By who? What is it?
by our nature, by nature itself.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think once we tap into Earth, we're going to tap into her network.
Tap into Earth? What does that mean?
Vibrationally speaking, like internally, though.
How do we know the vibration of the Earth, what it is? That's where meditation
you can look it up.
comes in.
You can look that up, and it'll give it to you, and you can hear it in noise. And then I think it's an internalizing of that vibration. And then you're on that level.
The ultimate Gaia effect.
Well, and then you're on that level, right? And so you can then, amongst that, find other people that are there. Now, to me, though, you have to be in proximity. Sorry, but I don't think you can do it over distance. Maybe remote viewing you can do because you're looking at objects that aren't moving and they're not alive. So maybe that's different. But I think we have a connection with other living things and not things that I would imagine are dead.
That's deep.
Yeah. Well, I can show you. I can
Interesting.
actually show you how we affect each other in a suggestive way all the time.
Oh, that's probably true.
So,
huh?
this, like anybody that's watching, if you've ever taken a cup like this and placed it in
Give me that back. Oh,
and placed it in your hand like this, and you balance it, right? And you tell somebody else to pull it out without touching it, and they just pretend to pull it, suggestively, it actually makes your hand tip over. Do you know that?
how interesting.
Yeah, so we have an effect on each other anyway.
Huh.
Yeah. I've experimented with it.
You're like a flipping genius.
The alpha waves are the key when you're sleeping? I don't know.
I've heard you
I
have to
don't know.
lower your beta waves to meditate. Or was it the alpha waves? You need to lower your brain waves in order to get to the proper meditation. I have heard that.
You know what I think? I think
For
we
real.
missed a ton of good conversation up there.
Well, we missed a
I think
ton
we
of good
missed a ton of good
conversation.
conversation.
That's why it's fun to go back and relook. We probably did.
I bet there's people that are actually, you know what? Just ask them again. Just say, hey, if there's a question, put it in caps
Yeah.
or something.
We've been going about 3 hours, 2.5, two and three quarters.
Oh, yeah, not bad.
But that's all right. They're enjoying it. I've still got the audience, so it's not like they've dwindled down to 12 of them. So, but yeah, I think we're going to call it good at this point. But we will get back together and we will share some more interesting material. We will do conspiracy theories. We will do chaos and mayhem, lies and manipulation,
Round up your friends.
and UFO truth.
Come watch the Backyard
And
Professor.
come watch the Backyard Professor with Nate.
I'm here for you.
He's here for us.
I'll
He
take
is,
any
so.
questions. I'll answer what I know, what I've seen.
Absolutely.
That's all I can do.
Good show, guys. They said they like you, which is good. I like him. He's a great neighbor and a friend, great resource, and I
Appreciate
will
you.
share his knowledge with you. Absolutely.
See that? I ninjutsu'd my
it-
finger.
It's been like
Ninjutsu'd
that's
my
the finger I
cut it.
picked my nose with, but I'm not supposed to do that on the air. So stop picking your nose with that broken finger. Well, that's right. You broke that finger.
You gotta love this guy. He's awesome.
No,
Keep coming back.
Yeah, we'll be there. So, all right. Hey, thank you for a very pleasant Sunday evening, all of you. We appreciate you attending. We appreciate your attitude. We appreciate your questions and discussion. We will do this some more. We went on a little bit longer tonight, and it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I think you guys have. So, yeah, they're still screaming about how good you were. So,
Love you guys. Love you. See you
we'll
next
do it
time.
again. All right, you guys. Have a great night. This is the Backyard Professor signing off. Wishing Nate a good evening as well as all the rest of you. Appreciate all your support. Remember, hit like, subscribe, and share, and we shall return. Okay, yeah, they're saying yes more, please.
Bye, guys.
Fun stuff, huh?